and then show me a picture of what you want the building to look like. I have some height restrictions. So, like in the residential district, you can't build a damn skyscraper, right? Like, build the skyscrapers with the skyscrapers. Build the medium buildings with the medium buildings, and the small buildings with the small buildings. But you tell me, like, oh, I want to build a 20-story building. All right, I'll give you a spot. No problem. Yeah, I'm pretty lax on zoning. Build whatever. Yeah, like I'm just the city planner, Sanchai. That's all. So, time for space news. Good work today, guys. Did a lot of small stuff on the Minecraft server today, but we did good. Yeah, just exclamation point map, I think, Jay. Yeah, there you go. Just exclamation point map if you want to see it. Right there. All right, guys. So I'm gonna take about 10 to 15 here. I'm just gonna go grab something to eat. I'll be back momentarily, and then when I get back, we will do some space news. Don't go anywhere. Be back in a second.
Sunday, April 12, 1981, Kennedy Space Center, Florida. The Space Shuttle, 14 stories high, 2,000 tons, poised on the pad for its maiden flight. This is Columbia, the spaceship that will orbit the Earth. Its external tank, it holds over 500,000 gallons of fuel for Columbia's 3 main engines. And the solid rocket boosters, the largest ever used on any launch vehicle and the first to be employed in a U.S. manned flight. At liftoff, the solid rocket boosters, together with the 3 main engines, will unleash more than 6.5 million pounds of thrust needed to launch the world's first reusable spacecraft. Never before has a winged vehicle been launched like a rocket, orbited the Earth, returned through frictional heating in excess of 2,500 degrees, and landed, still aerodynamically sound, to be launched again and again. If it succeeds, the space shuttle will truly be a remarkable flying machine. There are many other goals to be reached during the 54.5-hour mission that lies ahead. 144 test objectives are planned for the flight. These objectives could not be achieved without an astronaut crew. The commander, John Young. The pilot, Robert Crippen. Young has already been in space 4 times for a total of 533 hours. He is the most experienced astronaut flying today. Although Crippen has over 4,000 hours of jet aircraft flying time, this will be his first time in space. The astronauts make their way across the access arm toward the shuttle in the pre-dawn hours before launch. An American spaceship has never carried a human crew on its maiden voyage. At the Launch Control Center, 3 miles from the pad, final steps are being completed in the countdown. Final preparations are also being made in the Mission Control Center in Houston, where control of the flight will switch once the shuttle clears the tower. There has not been a manned launch from Kennedy Space Center since the Apollo-Soyuz test project in July of 1975. With this launch, Young and Crippen, launch controllers at the Cape, and flight controllers in Houston will experience the most dynamic, fast-paced series of launch events ever undertaken in the space program, all in less than 9 minutes. The most challenging ascent profile ever to be flown by a space vehicle. Photographers, film and television crews, plus newspaper and magazine writers from around the world, nearly 2,700 of them are here to cover the launch. In addition, approximately 600,000 spectators line the coastal area near the Kennedy Space Center. Arriving by every mode of transportation, they have come from every state in the Union and many foreign countries. The promise of a rebirth in America's manned space program and the dawn of a new era in space transportation awaits.
14, 13, T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start.
The roll will put the shuttle on its precise heading toward an imaginary target in space.
Roll program complete.
Roger, roll complete. Columbia, Houston, you're go at 40.
The shuttle is now 40 seconds into flight.
Roger, Columbia, on the nice ride. You're lofting a little bit. You'll probably be slightly high at staging. Negative seats. Columbia, you're negative seats.
Should anything go wrong, the shuttle is now too high for the astronauts to use their ejection seats.
Columbia, you're go for SRB step.
We see SRB step flight.
Roger, on a step.
103 converge flight.
Vet, Capcom, let's tell them all the calls are going to be a tad early because of the hot first stage. Columbia, you're looking a little hot. All your calls will be a little early.
Okay. Okay, map looks good here. Stand by, press to MECO.
Columbia, stand by. Press to MECO.
Mark it.
Mark. Press for MECO.
Roger, press for MECO.
The shuttle can now continue toward MECO, main engine cutoff.
They like the VAP, Eagle. ECOM.
Let's go, flight.
Capcom, VAPs go.
Stand by, negative return.
Columbia, stand by for negative return.
Mark it.
Mark. Negative return. And your VAP is good.
Outstanding. Sure is, we can confirm it. What a view. And single engine rotor flight.
And Columbia, your single engine rota.
Columbia can land safely at the Naval Air Station in Rota, Spain, even if 2 of the 3 main engines should fail. Right now, the engines are generating over 42 million horsepower.
MECO 25, 6,
MECO.
0, up at 220.
Roger, MECO.
And we got MECO confirmed.
MECO, Roger, Columbia, MECO. Right on the money, nominal.
Main engine cutoff. Columbia is now in space, traveling over 18,000 miles per hour.
Okay, we got set.
Roger, we confirm the step, Columbia.
The external tank has just been jettisoned and is now falling away from the shuttle back toward Earth. The tank will break up as planned over the Indian Ocean when it comes into contact with the atmosphere. Shortly, by firing the OMS, Orbital Maneuvering System engines, Columbia will achieve orbit. Then one of the most important tests of the mission will be attempted, opening the payload bay doors. The doors must be opened before the end of the 6th orbit to expose the space radiator cooling system. If the radiators cannot be exposed, heat collected from the onboard electronics cannot be released, and the astronauts will have to return home. The OMS burns are successful. Columbia is now in orbit, circling the Earth at an altitude of approximately 150 miles. The payload bay doors will now be opened.
Okay, the port door's coming open now.
Roger, copy.
Well, you are missing one fantastic sight. Boy, that is really beautiful out there.
We appreciate those updates.
Both doors have been opened. The radiators can be deployed to begin dissipating the heat.
The doors are all opened up and hunky-dory. Glad to deploy it right on time.
And the radiators look good.
Okay, We want to show you our own spot here. We do have a few tile missing off of both of them, off of the starboard pod, 3 tile and some smaller pieces, and off the port pod, looks like I see 1 full square and looks like a few little triangular shapes that are missing, and we're trying to put that on TV right now.
Roger, Crip, we can see that good.
From what we can see of both wings, tops and leading edges, though, all those are fully intact.
Within minutes, an assessment is completed on the impact these missing tiles could have on the remainder of the mission. At a news conference later in the day, Flight Director Neil Hutchison answers questions from reporters.
But you asked me if I knew where there were any other tiles that might be loose. The answer is no. And quite frankly, we're not worried about any other tiles being loose.
At this writing, is there anything at all that would lead you to say you might not go for a full duration mission?
Nothing. Columbia, Houston, you guys did so good, we're going to let you stay up there for a couple of days. Your gopher on orbit.
Spacecraft wants GoPro on orbit. This thing is just performing just outstanding.
Roger, we agree with that. And Columbia, Houston, just for your information, you dropped those SRBs right on target, and they were floating just the way they ought to be, and the boats were getting ready to fish them and bring them back.
Okay. The ride that they gave us was pretty neat.
The solid rocket boosters, which separated from the Columbia as planned 2 minutes 11 seconds into the flight, landed on target in the Atlantic Ocean, 151 miles downrange from the launch site. After being towed back to Kennedy Space Center, both boosters will be refurbished and used again in a future shuttle flight. The 3rd and 4th OMS burns are also successful, raising Columbia's orbit to an altitude of approximately 172 miles. For the first television transmission from inside the spacecraft, the crew will give a status report on the mission.
The flight so far has gone as smooth as it could possibly go. We've done every test that we're supposed to do, and we're up on the timeline, and the vehicle has just been performing beautifully, much better than anyone ever expected to do on a first flight, and no systems are out of shape. And it's delightful up here in zero gravity, my dad. Of course, we owe this to a lot of people, and we certainly want to thank everyone who has helped get this thing airborne, and can take great pride in it's doing so well right now. Okay, we're switching over to the aft camera here. I'd like to echo John's words as I usually do. I guess being the so-called rookie on this flight, I had a thrill from the moment of liftoff all the way up to what we're doing now. It's really been super. The spacecraft has worked as advertised all the way along. I think we've got something that's really going to mean something to the country and the world. This vehicle is performing like a champ, like all of us that have worked so long on it knew that you would.
Okay, sir, we appreciate those comments.
I guess that does it.
That was a good time, and I think you must have practiced. We're just about to lose your ghost song.
Just accident.
Just accident, says Robert Crippen. None of the other events of the day have been accidental. Every test, liftoff, SRB separation and recovery, ET separation and impact, 4 OMS burns, payload bay door latch opening and closing tests, radiator latch deploy and stowing tests have all been successful.
I guess we owe you guys one super attaboy for today. This is fantastic. You worked through a pretty long, hard day, and you're essentially right on schedule, which is going to be close to being a first sort of spaceflight biz, I think, for first day activities. It's sure been fun working with you today, and we look forward to seeing you in the morning. I hope you get a good night's rest.
Okay, you guys did super work today. See you mañana.
Roger, thank you. See you tomorrow, guys.
Well, many hours went into this thing. A job well done by the shuttle space team. We can't say that she's sleek and lean, but I'll tell you right now, she's a mean machine. The Columbia, not the kind you smoke. This here's a bird.
Morning, Columbia. Welcome to day 2.
All right. Appreciate that super wake-up music this morning. Well, we sure enjoyed it. Missing a good breakfast.
Today, the astronauts will test onboard systems and also review procedures for tomorrow's landing. A test of the flight control system is conducted by John Young. The flight control system operates Columbia's aero surfaces, the elevons, body flaps, rudder, and speed brake. These surfaces are useless in the vacuum of space, but will be essential tomorrow when the shuttle lands. This will require precision maneuverability, which the aero surfaces provide. Payload bay door cycling tests help ensure that latching and closing procedures can also be done before entry tomorrow. As with every mission, many pictures of the Earth are taken by the astronauts. Over 500 on this first shuttle flight. Active volcanoes, cloud formations, alluvial fans, giant whirlpools over 15 miles in diameter, sand dunes 1,500 feet high, running unbroken for hundreds of miles. The high Himalayas, where mountain peaks reach 24,000 feet. And one of the most remarkable space photographs ever taken of the Earth, an area in Iran exposed to wind erosion, which has resulted in these breathtaking silt and sandstone formations that look more like a painting than a desert. After lunch on the second day, the astronauts receive a phone call from the Vice President of the United States, George Bush.
How's it going up there? Everything rocking along all right?
Spaceship is just performing beautifully.
Well, it's great, and everybody views it, I'm sure, just as the forerunner of great things to come. I think your trip is just going to ignite the excitement and the forward thinking from this country, so I really just wanted to call up and wish you the very best.
Columbia is out of contact during the OMS burn. Mission Control will not know if this burn was successful until they are in communication with the spacecraft over Australia. It is now over the Indian Ocean on the other side of the world, but from that distance the burn must be precise so that later Columbia will hit the lake bed target in California.
Columbia, this is Houston through Yargady. We're standing by.
Burn was on time at nominal residual 1/10.
Columbia is now committed to entry. With an RCS post-burn maneuver and several firings, it is oriented to a heads-up, nose-first attitude headed toward entry interface. This is where the atmosphere begins, at approximately 400,000 feet. From that moment until the shuttle reaches 165,000 feet, it will be in communication blackout, out of touch with mission control for almost 20 minutes. The landing site is almost 4,400 miles from entry interface. Chase planes are preparing to take off. One will call out altitudes and check Columbia for any damage just prior to landing. When the shuttle touches down here, it will be traveling at 216 miles per hour. Right now it's going more than 17,000 miles per hour. Before it lands, it must slow down, lose energy, and it must survive the intense heat caused by traveling through the atmosphere at such a high rate of speed. Several S-turns or roll reversals are used to slow down and maneuver Columbia through the atmosphere. This one is done at 256,000 feet when it is traveling at more than 26 times the speed of sound. This one is done at 208,000 feet. During these two roll reversals, entry heating is most severe, with temperatures reaching 2,500 degrees some places on the vehicle. The aluminum skin will melt at 320 degrees. The silicate tiles must insulate the vehicle from the tremendous heat. Since there is no test facility on Earth to simulate the aerodynamic and structural environment Columbia is in right now, only calculations could be used to predict what would happen during this phase of the flight. The predictions and calculations had to be right.
Hello there, Houston. Columbia's here.
Hello, Columbia. Houston's here. How do you read?
Flying clear, and we're doing Mach 10.3 at 180 AS.
And we couldn't agree more, John. Your state vector's good. We've got good data in-house.
Okay.
The entry trajectory, velocity, and position look good. Columbia is heading for home, now only 470 miles away.
More left RCS, but okay.
Right, we're showing a roll. And John, we're showing you rolling right. Looking good.
Right, normal roll.
We're showing him crossing the coastline flat.
Columbia, we show you crossing the coast now.
Right, yeah. We can come.
The shuttle is first sighted at about 100,000 feet with a long-range camera from Anderson Peak, California.
What a way to come to California.
And flat pedal, I still look perfect right on the nominal.
Roger that. Out of 112K, 4.8 Mach.
We're seeing this in a row.
We see Del Az 21 degrees.
A roll reversal is done over Bakersfield, California.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Chase has a tally.
Roger, checking.
And we're seeing 1.3 Gs coming around the hat.
Roger that.
The astronauts are making the final turn to line up with the runway.
Columbia, you're really looking good. Right on the money. Right on the money. And turning on to final, your winds on the surface are calm.
Back on the wind.
You're right on the glide slope, Columbia.
Clear, John.
Looks real good underneath. Everything looks real good.
Chase reports no tile or other damages evident underneath the shuttle. Columbia's altitude is now just over 5,000 feet.
Pretty clear?
Without power, Columbia must land. It cannot make another attempt.
You're coming. You're down. Feet. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown. Those gears, good. 5, 4, 3, touchdown. Hook 'em off, skipper.
Columbia's on the roller.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful.
So I have to take it up to hangar, Joe.
We're going to dust it off first.
This is the world's greatest all-electric flying machine, I'll tell you that. It was super.
Okay, convoy's on its way.
Convoy on. We'll stop on the Columbia. We'll stop.
The maiden voyage of Columbia has been a success. The astronauts and the vehicle have met or exceeded all 144 flight test objectives.
I agree.
The integrity of
Gotta
all
dust it
the
off
systems,
first.
propulsion, avionics, structural, flight
Here's
control,
my favorite part.
power, and thermal have been
Oh
affirmed.
man, did you see that? You see me fly that thing?
John
Just
Young's
flying it, it
comments
was
after
excellent.
returning home.
I can't tell you what a tribute that is to the American working man and the American working woman, too. You can't imagine the variety of people who worked on this vehicle, from all walks of life, all capabilities and limitations. It's all due to their individual efforts. They proved that they can do the job. They proved it for the world to see. And I'm mighty proud to be associated with folks like that.
What a tribute indeed. The Columbia represents an achievement
me
in
so happy.
aerospace technology
John,
and
you gotta get in the
development
truck.
never
No.
before realized
No,
in the
I'm good.
history of manned spaceflight. It is our basic building block for the
Awesome.
future.
It's what we've been trying to do for the last 10 years. We've got a vehicle with a payload performance
thing?
that will allow us to do that, much cheaper than we've been able to do it before. It will immeasurably improve the defensive capability of the country. It will help develop space science and technology. When we get operational, the space shuttle will be able to do in 5 to 10 years what it would have taken us 20 to 30 years to do otherwise. We couldn't do it if we didn't have the space shuttle and that payload capability. And the sooner we do those things, the better off the country's going to be.
Amen.
A revolutionary new era in space transportation has just begun. Routine access to space. Welcome to the future.
I mean, over thunder. That thing right there is the first attempt at a fully reusable spacecraft. You know what, man? It's pretty damn good for a first attempt. Pretty damn good. God damn, that thing is cool. Not bad for a first try. Can you explain what the controller meant by your state vector looks good during descent? No, not sure what that means, to be honest with you, Tech. State vector, maybe pointed in the right direction. It has something to do with where it's going, but he may have said stake vector. I don't know. State vector, stake vector. I don't know. Is there any pilots here? Any ever heard anything like that? She's a beast, Solar. Yeah. She's a freaking beast, dude. Unreal. Unreal what that thing could do. Starship, though. It's coming. It's coming, man. He said pushing? Nah, he said 1.1, dog. You said 1.1, man. What's up, Excessive? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, I would like to have a stake vector right now because I am hungry. In navigation, a state vector is a set of data describing exactly where an object is located in space and how it's moving. Oh, all right. So basically the shuttle knows where it is, so it knows where it isn't. Got it. Will we have a space shuttle type vehicle in the next 50 years? Starship Omni. The platform isn't too expensive. That thing could work. That thing can work. The shuttle could have been made cost effective. It's this thing that I talk about all the time, guys. Okay. If I wanted to start a car company right now, is that an impossible thing to do? No. No. Not at all. Right? That's not... no, I could start a car company right now. I would need a couple $1 billion in capital to probably get it going, right? But I could do it, right? Like, not me. I'm probably not smart enough to do that. I'll be 100% honest with you. Like, a better example would be like, could I start a restaurant, right? Could I start a restaurant? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Just make an LLC. Exactly. You could start a company. You could do whatever. Like I could start a restaurant. Sure. I know how to work in a restaurant. I've did it for a long time. Now, what I'm getting at is it would take a X amount of money to get that restaurant fully operational and ready to go, right? It's always going to take a certain amount of money. What's going to, like $100,000 to get a restaurant started? Like if you really want to be, well off, 100 G's, right? Let's just say it's that much. Am I going to see that 100,000 back? Probably not. Not for a while. At least it would take a long time for a restaurant to turn profits. Restaurants aren't really run on high profit margins, meaning that you're not going to see a return on investment for a very long time. Okay? But people still got to eat, So if you have good food, people will come, or even relatively good food. People still come and eat, you know what I mean? So, but you won't make that much. You won't make that much. I mean, it's kind of like streaming, to be honest, but that's another story. The point that I'm trying to get at is the space shuttle could have been made to operate for a very low cost. It just would have taken a good amount of money to get to that point, and that was money that NASA didn't have. Okay, it just didn't have it. That was just money that NASA didn't have. They couldn't get it like over the hump, right? Basically, think about it like this. If like I need a pickup truck, right? And I have $5,000 and a pickup truck costs $10,000, right? I can't go and buy one off the shelf because NASA was making everything in-house. It was their own design. There's a certain hump that you have to get over because you're making it. I mean, not that they could go buy another space shuttle, right? So the point is that the space shuttle probably could have been made to you could get shuttle flights down to nothing if you really, really, really knew what you were doing. But once again, that would require a good amount of capital. The thing about the shuttle is that what they ended up doing was trying to fix it as they go, because there wasn't really enough money to test it. There was really no way to test it either. I mean, building the shuttle with like remote operability would probably be cool, but there were reasons why they put people on it. They could have made it autopilot, but even autopilot was still a lot. That was a little ways. That would have been cutting edge stuff for the 70s, right? But it could have been done. I'm sure it could have. But long story short, because they had to put people on it, they couldn't test it enough, so they didn't do enough testing, right? Not that they had the money to do it anyway. So when they started flying it, they started encountering all the teething problems that you have when you fly something new, when you fly a new spacecraft. And they started encountering all these teething problems, like in the first 25 missions. O-rings, tiles doing weird things, the engine's doing weird things, this and that, right? And they were addressing and trying to fix these problems as fast as they could while still doing operational missions. And that didn't really work well. It didn't really end well. And then, Challenger happens, and then after that they basically kind of just lived with the teething problems. Like if you have a car, right, and every time you drive the car blows its tire, right? And you have to replace the tire every time to reuse the car, right? Like, oh, well, instead of trying to engineer a better tire, we'll just replace it every time. The only way to get the RS-25s or the space shuttle main engines like completely operable, right, to make sure that they don't malfunction every time is to just rebuild them every time. That's the way to get the most reliability, which is... The way I end up saying it is like this: the shuttle is a space truck. It's a truck that flies into space. It's a semi-truck that carries a trailer. The trailer is the payload bay, right? NASA, after Challenger, they ended up operating the thing like an RV. You don't go camping in a semi-truck, right? Like, that doesn't work. I mean, you could. You can. It's fine. But the semi-truck really is designed to pull cargo around and stuff, right? Like, that's what it's supposed to do. If you go camping in a semi, you're gonna waste money. You're gonna be wasting money. You should have just made an RV. Toter homes are the one exception to that, but you get the idea? If not, it with a 3-month resub, and then Pilch had a 5-monther before that. Thanks, guys. Set my truck overlanding because America, pretty much. Yeah, God, yeah, that would probably be a better way to say it. I would go camping in a Starship any day. I mean, yeah. Hey, the shuttle wasn't bad. Solar. I firmly believe that the shuttle could have been made to be reliable. The first thing that I would do if I restarted the shuttle program, like say in some freak scenario, like I win the Powerball and I decide that I want to make a new space shuttle. First thing I would do is add autopilot in. Add a way to test EDL like Starship without putting people on board. And then just keep doing those tests every single time you want to launch something into space. Every single time. And then go from there. I think the shuttle is a perfectly fine system. Orbiter on the side, thermal protection system and everything. I think it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that system. It goes back to what I keep saying. You need a certain amount of cash to throw at a problem. Now, don't get me wrong. If you throw too much cash at a problem, it's not going to change anything. But there is a certain kind of minimal critical threshold of money that you have to throw at a problem to get it to solve that problem, right? You can't do more with less, but doing more with more is also not very smart either. How would you fix the falling ice and the foam issue? Pilch, actually, somebody in chat figured this out. Why don't we make the tank out of stainless steel? Works for Centaur. Make the ET out of stainless. Heck, make the ET out of carbon fiber. Have the ET have a thermal medium liner. I mean, but then again, they pretty much fixed the spray-on foam insulation cavitation problem after Columbia. So the spray-on foam insulation was just fine. Yeah, Stereo. True that. The shuttle needed better electronics. The cable management scares me. I mean, and the wire harness on an RV is more complicated than my car. Supercraft. It's a complicated machine. Complicated machine needs complicated wiring. There's no way around that. Unless you want to put like a Tesla coil in the back of the shuttle for wireless power transmission. I don't think that's a good idea in space. Doesn't stainless steel still ice over if it gets that cold? Yeah. Pilch, I got one crazy for you. This one probably wouldn't work, but how about we put tiles on the external tank? Put tiles on the external tank. But see, then again, that's making it way more expensive. You got to figure out a way. Like you have to have some kind of thermal insulative layer. Put the ET inside of the orbiter. Yep. The foam wasn't a bad idea, guys. The foam strikes did happen, and foam did come off the orbiter to an extent, but the thing is that the only reason that big of a chunk came off to where it was detrimental to the thermal protection system was because of the criteria that led up to it. It was that individual shuttle stack that scrubbed 7 times, and the tank, they had cavitation or I think it was permeation in the spray-on foam insulation. Wasn't that the current problem with the external tank? I like the first idea they came up with a reusable plane as an external tank, but I never found the solution to the ice falling. They had it figured out with the foam, Pilch. It wasn't the foam, it was the shaking of the shuttle at launch. No, not for the spray-on foam insulation. No, Solaire. It was, no, that's not, no. I think we're talking about different things, but no. The foam permeation was happening because that shuttle, that external tank could only be filled up with fuel a certain amount of times before they needed to do something about it. The external tank's only designed to be used twice. Once, basically. Just basically once, right? Like, they had some margin in, but they got really close to the margin, and then you had a freak accident, right? I don't know. There's got to be ways to fix it. Like, Pilch, I would even take a solution that would hurt the shuttle's payload capacity. Like, if we put glue on it, right? Or, like, I don't even know. Some type of... There's got to be a better way to do it. There's got to be. Like, look at New Shepard. New Shepard doesn't ice over. There's Starship ices over a little bit. That's usually during decompression, though, right? So, and the stainless steel actually would get stronger. Not that that matters, but yeah, I mean, you make the tank out of stainless or something, dude. Figure something out. What did they change after Columbia to fix the foam? I forget off the top of my head, Pilch. I'd have to go look. They made some changes to how it was applied, stuff like that. It wasn't anything very like major, to be honest. And the reason they can't insulate a tank on the inside instead of the outside, yeah, you gotta have baffles inside of the tank, STX. But guys, you gotta remember, once again, foam strikes really weren't a thing much after, what was it, STS 116. I mean, I'm sure there's some documentation here and there, but they basically had the Sophie figured out. They had it ready to go. I mean, did you see any foam falling off the SLS core stage during the green run? I didn't. They redid the bipod, Gaffling. Yeah, hang on. That's true. They redid how the bipod got put together. They optimized it. I can show you. I'm trying to find the picture on the bipod. It's around here somewhere. Here. So, this is what it looked like before. Right? And they had this thing going on right here. And they basically just got rid of the bipod ramp. They did this for Aero, if I'm remembering right. See the bipod ramp right there? They got rid of it. The flights after that, they just... I don't want to look at this. The flights after, they got rid of the bipod ramp, dudes. This thing, they did away with it. They didn't need it. That was one of the things. I'm sure they worked on like foam adhesion and a bunch of other things, but do you ever read Bringing Columbia Home? No. This is tough to look at, man. It sucks. It's such a freak accident. It pisses me off. Ugh. It's like 1,000 to 1 shot. I don't know how many times I've talked about this on stream. Columbia is a freak accident. It's just a freaking accident, dude. I've talked to guys that worked at NASA. I talked to guys that work on the foam for SLS about this, and they're like, yeah, it's just a freak accident, man. Like, the tank scrubbing a bunch of times was, like STS-107 scrubbed a bunch of times, and that caused the tank to expand and contract and expand and contract. But that was all well documented enough. Like, they had scrubbed missions like that before, and nothing like that ever happened. It was just one of those frigging accidents, dude. It sucks. Yeah, that's what I mean. It was just, they couldn't rapidly prototype the shuttle. That's what happened. There just wasn't enough money to get over the hump. Yeah, like, hey, it is what it is. Anyway, we got some space news links. Well, Challenger was basically ignoring those problems, said problems, Tessa. I mean, yeah, that was basically just ignoring all those problems, which is just really annoying. Link, oh, thanks, Vin. How's it going? Yeah, it's going good, Goose. Yeah, like with Challenger, they were launching. Okay, so like the SRB, there's nothing wrong with the 2.0 ring design. There really isn't. It was working exactly as advertised. The 2.0 ring design wasn't designed to launch in the cold. And the first time they launched the shuttle in the cold, the O-rings didn't work. And NASA looked at that and said, made it, whatever. Disney said, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It made it. So they launched, and they knew the SRB O-rings weren't working because sometimes they launched it in the cold. Sometimes it's cold. Also, the SRB O-rings are right next to the external tank. Also really cold. Right? So they had plenty of flights. There were like 3 or 4 flights where they had what was called SRB blow-by. They had that problem. The O-rings were malfunctioning, and the engineers, like, you always hear about the Challenger engineers that were like, this isn't working. There's a problem with it. You got to stop. What the engineers are actually saying is, look, we didn't design these O-rings to do this. You asked us. You asked us to engineer you a pickup truck, and you're using it like a Formula One car. It's not going to do what we designed it to do. It's failing. It's very obvious that it's not doing what was advertised. You asked us to do one thing, and we gave you the thing to do that task, and you're doing another task with it, and it's not working correctly. You're going to get someone killed. Please stop. And NASA management at NASA said, no. Nah, it's fine. You don't know what you're talking about. It worked. Look, it worked. It worked fine. But there's a duality to that. You could just say it's some faithless person at NASA, but NASA was under tremendous political pressure to get the shuttle working correctly. The shuttle was already years behind schedule. It was supposed to fly in 1979. It didn't fly until 1981. They were years behind on getting missions, getting spy satellites into space, building the space station that it was supposed to build. They were years behind. So there was a pressure at NASA to up the cadence on the space shuttle. The problem is you can't up the cadence when you're trying to use the vehicle in a way that it's not supposed to be used. Once again, those SRB O-rings are fine. There's nothing wrong with the 2.0 ring design. They work just fine when it's not cold. So, you're setting the stage for disaster right there. So come one day in early 1986, it's January, even in Florida. Florida can have cold snaps. It happens. Texas had one last year. It happens. So there's a cold snap in Florida. It was way too cold to launch. And they said, it's fine. And they said, no, it's too cold again. You're going to get SRB blow-by. And they said, no, it's cool. We got to launch. We got to go. And then they went to launch. They started doing it. And then the upper level winds weren't good. They talked about the upper level winds. It was too windy for the shuttle stack. Spoiler alert, the shuttle is not very aerodynamic. If it's windy and you launch it into the wind, it can experience extremely high wind shear. And they said, it's fine, the winds are okay. So a lot of people don't know that it was not only too cold to launch that day, but it was too windy. There were 2 launch constraint violations, and they ignored that. And then they launched anyway. And the O-ring failed, just as expected. And then the failed O-ring and the SRB got hit with the highest wind shear ever recorded on a launch vehicle at KSC. And it ripped the bottom of the SRB off. I'm sure that ended real well. See what I'm talking about? It's not that the 2 O-ring design was bad. That's when you ignore the engineering, this is called normalization of deviance. When you ask a piece of engineering to do a task, and it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do, it's doing something else. That's putting whatever you engineered into a failure mode. And that failure mode should be looked into. Cessna doesn't make an airplane, right? And then they test their airplane, they fly the airplane around, and when they land, the wing falls off. But the people land in one piece, so it's just fine. If they looked at that and that happened, they'd be like, no, back to the drawing board. You had the launch equivalent of the wing falling off with an SRB O-ring malfunction. They said, yeah, it's fine. But once again, this goes back to what I was talking about. They didn't have the money. NASA was cash strapped. They didn't have the money to engineer a better O-ring. See what I'm talking about? It's a very interesting thing to understand. Yeah, Shady, it's going to be great. So, once again, there's nothing wrong with the shuttle's design. There really isn't. It just has teething problem. It had teething problems like every other rocket. Every piece of aerospace engineering has teething problems. Every single time. No exceptions. There's always something. There's always something that you can't predict. There's always something that you can't quantify with math. And it's easy to see this stuff in hindsight. It's extremely hard to see it before it happens. When you have time, look over my build plot, okay? Show us the O-rings? Yeah. I mean, I could. I don't know, man. I made a paper airplane once. It's pretty dope. A bit off topic, you just watch a documentary on PBS you would love called The Swamp Ghost. It's about a B-17 salvage. Cool. The retro packs on Mercury. Yep. Every time, Tech. It's always something. Gene Kranz talks about this in his book, Failure is Not an Option. I keep that book on my nightstand and just read it in case I'm trying to figure something out, right? He talks about there's 2 kinds of unknowns. There's known unknowns, and then there's unknown unknowns. So, with the shuttle, take STS-1 for instance, what we just watched, right? We just watched A Remarkable Flying Machine. There's an unknown unknown. You don't know if the thermal protection system is going to work. But the math behind it says that it will work, right? And it did. That's a known unknown. Basically, you don't know until you do it. SpaceX likes to go towards those known unknowns. But you also encounter unknown unknowns in missions as well. What was an unknown from STS-1? Well, the SRBs overperformed. They did better than they thought they would, and it caused the shuttle to fly on a slightly lofted trajectory. that overperformance from the SRBs meant that the sound suppression system on the launch pad wasn't sufficient enough to quench the sound and the acoustic vibrations from the sound of the SRBs and the exhaust reverberating off the pad. That caused Columbia to shake some tiles off because the vibrations were so bad. That's an unknown unknown. So it's like getting a curveball in baseball. It looks like it's going to go in one direction and it does something completely unpredictable. That's an unknown unknown. That's the difference. Every spacecraft is going to encounter an unknown unknown at some point. Every single one of them. Every single new bit of spacecraft, any single new bit of hardware. There's always something that you didn't predict, that you didn't think was going to happen. So that's basically par for the course, man. The space shuttle had all these problems come up because they were teething problems. There were unknowns that was impossible to predict. When these unknown unknowns started happening, during Challenger, they basically ignored them. And then, after Challenger, they didn't want to change anything. They just wanted to keep flying the shuttle with these teething problems. And I know this sounds really stupid, but you don't want to be the guy that changes something on the space shuttle and causes more people to get hurt, right? So you're going to just keep doing the same thing and just keep going from there. The shuttle's design was basically frozen in 1988. They made all these changes after Challenger to make it safer, right? And then they were just doing small incremental upgrades from there, like just tiny stuff. But they never fixed a lot of those teething problems, which sucks. I mean, like I said, I still think that the shuttle's a good design. It could work. You could make that thing fly. You could make it. The shuttle could have gotten to a point where we could fly it maybe once every 2 weeks. Sure. Oh yeah, we could have hit that. They almost did in 1985. It's possible. Absolutely. But it's going to take a good amount of money to figure out all these unknown unknowns. Unknown unknowns usually cost money. Like, we could take modern day spacecraft with unknown unknowns nowadays. Dragon, the toilet didn't friggin' work. There's an unknown unknown right there. Current news. The toilets on Dragon, they used them for a little while and then the seals started to break and they leak pee all over the floor. SpaceX addressed the problem, they fixed it, but it's still an unknown unknown. And I'll tell you what, when Crew 2 comes down tomorrow, they're going to have diapers on. Because you can't use the toilet's out of order. Crapper's clogged. Merry Christmas. Virgin Orbit is going to launch from Japan. Cool. Q2 ends with Vettel, Raikkonen, Russell, Giovinazzi, and Ocon out. Oof. Like the unknown unknown on the gas pump in the truck. Sure, Solaire. I mean, that honestly, I probably could have checked it. I probably should have dropped the tank to start, dude. I should have had all 4 hubs completely off on that truck. Did the wheel bearings, checked the brakes. I did check the brakes. The brakes were fine. That's one thing I really made sure. I overlooked the whole braking system on that truck off stream. Unfortunately, an unknown unknown was the damn hub coming apart. I still don't know how that happened. And it was not loose lug nuts. I guarantee you that. How did Atlantis on STS-27 not burn up like Columbia? Chance. Can I see your last question? Sure, Panther. What's up? Have you seen this Worldview venture? Take a look. No, I haven't, dude. They also miscalculated the drag the tiles would make on STS-1. This caused them to land too fast and a few hundred meters further down the runway than planned. Well, that's why they used the long runway. My understanding is that they scrub launches for the smallest of problems. I don't get why they couldn't scrub that day. Was there an important reason for launching that day? President was there. President was there. I don't know if it was the president. It may have been somebody else. It was a high-profile launch because of the Teacher in Space mission. Yeah. But, I mean, heck, NASA learned their lesson on that one. Look at DM2. I mean, the president showed up during DM2 and flew Air Force One past the pad and everything, which I still maintain. People aren't going to like it, but I still thought that was cool. I still thought that was really cool. Air Force One doing a low pass by the Falcon 9 stack. I still think that was really neat. But they scrubbed it. He was there and they were like, nah, we're good. Yeah, that was pretty friggin' cool. You know, I appreciate it that guy gave a frick about space. I really do. You know, like, or he didn't, and he just let this guy kind of have free reign, and that's fine too, because I like him. He's all right. You know, money is on the weld being eaten caused the wheel to shear off. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. That's a great picture, Bill. Could you elaborate on your answer of chance? Yeah, it happens roundabout. Well, Round, he resigned. He wasn't forced out. Jimmy B resigned. But, Round, you know what the best part of that is? So, when Bill Nelson lost his, I think it was I don't think it was a Senate. Yeah, it was a Senate. He lost his Senate seat, right? In Florida. You know what Jim did? This was in 2018. He lost in the midterms in 2018. He got booted. Bill was like out of work, and Jim immediately went to him and put him on the National Spaceflight Advisory Council. He immediately scooped him up. So, you know, Jim left knowing full well that Bill would probably get in there and do his thing, and that's fine. They both see eye to eye on space anyway, you know, so whatever, man. We good. Did NASA actually go to the moon? Sure, Sro. Yeah, of course they did. President wanted to mention it in the State of the Union that night. NASA guy was a friend of Reagan, formerly. Yeah, exactly, Pilch. There was basically Rule 8 pressure. That was the entire problem with the space shuttle program. Rule 8 said build this, and NASA said that's going to cost you $2 billion, and they said, all right, here's 1.5, get it done. No, you don't build the most complicated machine ever devised by man on a budget. Or else, I mean, you get what you pay for. Anybody here that messes with anything mechanical, cars, planes, whatever, you get what you pay for. If you skimp on parts, you buy the cheaper thing, you're gonna get a cheaper result. Straight up. What's Jim doing now? He's on a couple of different advisory boards to some spaceflight companies and stuff. Yeah, Bill's fine roundabout. I don't mind Bill. He's old school and he likes space. So he's an old school Florida man. Time to recreate the conditions that led to the wheel flying off. Yep. The 2 billion numbers, 2 billion 1.5 Solar was made up. How can we know if the but your question is, how can we know if the 2 billion wasn't overestimated, knowing they would get less, making sure they got enough? And you answered basically why cost plus contracts exist. Yep. You can't watch Bill live, you have to watch the recorded vids at double the speed. Yeah, I know, right? My point still stands. No, Solar, that's why cost plus contracts exist. Because of those unknown unknowns that you encounter, those teething problems. That's literally the reason cost plus is a thing. Absolutely. Everybody, and you know, Solar, everybody dumps on SLS, right? Oh, it's a cost plus, stupid. I'm like, no, you literally, that's what I mean when I say those people literally have no clue what they're talking about. It's Apollo 8. Cost plus isn't an end-all be-all solution roundabout. It makes sense when you're encountering a project where you're not entirely sure what the final scope of the project will be. And I know that sounds like a really dumb thing. That's a hard sell. Because it's one of those things that at face value doesn't seem smart. But if you take some time to explain it, then there you go. When's the next rocket launch? Wednesday? Then why no cost plus for Crew Dragon when they were developing it? Well, Thomas, you got to understand the contract structuring for the commercial crew program. The commercial crew program is buying a service. That's what the firm fixed price contract is for. It's for the service. That's not included with development. That's a different thing. That's commercial orbital transport services, which was, if I'm recalling correctly, was not firm fixed price. It may have been, but I look at it two ways. If commercial orbital transport services was not cost plus, I'd have to go look. If it was not cost plus and it was also firm fixed pricing, that means the private companies would foot the bill for development. However, if it was cost plus, then that explains why Crew Dragon is firm fixed price. I'm pretty sure commercial orbital transport services was, because it's buying a service instead of like developing a vehicle end to end. I think the idea is that the private ventures will foot the development cost. So like in the case of SpaceX with Crew Dragon, SpaceX had plenty of investment, and those investments went into the development so they could get paid for the firm fixed price. See, when it's a government space program, you don't really have that option. You have to develop the thing first, and then you can privatize it out, and then you could contract out certain parts of it, which is what they're trying to do with SLS right now. The HLS underfunding situation tells a lot, though. Imagine if they did the same for the shuttle. They did do the same thing with the shuttle floating. They did. They underfunded the shuttle program so much that NASA had to get the Department of Defense involved on the project. NASA had to sell that program to the executive branch and to the military at the same time. By the way, the NASA Crew 2, Crew 3 teleconference is starting in about 10 minutes. You guys want to listen to that? NASA had to sell out. They didn't really sell out. So the idea... I'll say it once, I'll say it again, dude. It wasn't a bad idea for the time. Because it was either do the shuttle and try to reduce the costs of launch, or NASA gets shut down. Their hand was forced, just like with HLS. This happens. This stuff happens. Look, guys, you live by the sword and you die by the sword. So what does that mean? Okay, that means that, sometime NASA gets the short stick. It happens. It's annoying when it happens, and that's the stuff I try to teach people to try and safeguard against, right? If I teach you guys and you're a little more informed about how NASA funding works, and I show you how that works, you could recognize the pattern, and, as taxpayers, we can solve that problem, right? Well, I don't know if I'm having any effect. I'm sure I do in some way, but probably not that much of effect, but it's an important thing to understand. Now, with that being said, NASA still does get the shaft. It happens. The worst thing that I can't stand is when people use it as they use NASA for political leverage, which pisses me off. That sucks. Every time that's happened, NASA has ended up worse off. So that's what happened when Apollo was on its way out and the shuttle came in. They said, "Oh, Apollo's too expensive. We got to find a better way to do this. It's too expensive. I'm spending billions of dollars in Vietnam, but it's too expensive. So find a better way to do it." Okay, we found a better way to do it. All right, do it. Get out of here. See what I mean? Like, that's bad. You don't want that. But once again, that's just par for the course. For every person that, for every politician that uses it as a political football, you get another politician that doesn't. And when I say use it as a political football, I mean basically put NASA on the chopping block because you have your priorities are elsewhere. All right, it's happened. It's happened multiple times. All right. But for every politician that does something stupid like that, you get somebody like JFK coming along that does something like Apollo. You get something like the Constellation program coming along. You get something like the Artemis program coming along. All right? It happens. So it's good. You have to take the good with the bad. You know? Hey, Catch saying 53-month resub. For the agency that went to the moon to end up like this is just so absurd. Yeah. It's happened by short-sighted people. Exactly. Well, it's not short-sighted people. It's just people that have their priorities elsewhere.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Constellation, we had a chance to start over. Right? We had a chance to start over with Constellation, and then the next guy came in, his priorities were elsewhere, and that was the end of that. Right now, the amount of political leaders who want to cut NASA is pretty low. Pop Bert, you know what the funny part about this is? It's not Congress that does this stuff, guys. A lot of people don't know that Congress was almost unanimously on board with Constellation. If you told a Congress member the day before Constellation was canceled that they were canceling it tomorrow, they would have been like, what? It's not the congressmen or the representatives that are a problem here. It's the people who control NASA's plans. Though, that's what I'm talking about here. You know? SpaceX shows us that what the government does is just crumbs and waste. I guess, bro. Next is one. Yeah, I know, and yeah, but you see, Ando, the thing is that that's a hard position to take. That's a hard hill to defend, because you can say that, and then in the same sentence, like SpaceX showed that, but then what are those flags that are up on the moon right there for? Like that? Oh yeah, that was crumbs and waste too, right? Like that's what I mean about living and dying by the sword. Like you kind of have to roll with the punches there, and part of what I try to do here is I try to show people and teach people why that's not a good idea. I mean, that's a success, but come on. Yeah, I gotcha. I can see how much better it could have been. Yeah, no, I get it. You're trying to say that the meddling would, if they didn't meddle with the Apollo program and they kept the Apollo program going, we would be way further in space right now, right? What created the Apollo program? Literally the same entity. You know what I mean? Like that's why, you gotta live and die by the sword, man. It's annoying. I hate to just keep using that analogy, but it giveth and it taketh, man. It happens. But hey, you know what? You know what the best part about this right now is? We don't have to choose. We don't have to choose a fully commercial lunar program or a fully government lunar program, because we have both of them. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Yeah, Pilch, I know what you mean. But I don't like entertaining those thoughts. Hey, Dread, 14-month resub. U.S. government is not my government. I'd be pissed otherwise. Okay. On the other side, you have people who go about SpaceX's unchecked billionaire space race. NASA is the check there floating. Why do you think I want SLS to succeed? I don't see how people don't see that coming, man. I had a really good talk about this yesterday for Space News. If you guys wanted to check that stuff out, yeah, check out yesterday's Space News. I broke down why it's important to have both of those things, you know? Hey, the bike, though. Who linked that? Let me take a look. What was that? Success day on the new bike. That's cool, Dread. Right on. Yesterday. That's so yesterday. NASA's the greatest thing that is doing so many times. Yeah, I know. So, Ando, the best thing that we can do is try to show people what's good and what's bad for NASA. That's why I talk. That's why I sit here and go through the motions with all this conversation about this kind of stuff, because it's important to understand. So the next time you see some dingbat that's like, oh, SpaceX should just do everything, they should shut down NASA, you can immediately understand that that person has no idea what they're talking about. And then proceed to fix that problem. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I sit here and go through the motions, you know? Nah, that ruins the dynamic of the stream roundabout, you know? It ruins the dynamic of the stream, man. These conversations come up. And, dude, I'm patient. I'm a patient guy. I want long-term. I hate short-term caca. You know, the short-term solution is doing that. You know, somebody asked me a question. Oh, I have a video about this. No. What keeps the stream going is the one-on-one interaction and the discussions that we have. Can you explain why SpaceX shouldn't take over NASA? I know nothing. Well, Strofek, NASA does a lot more than just launch stuff and people into space. NASA is there's science. So, since NASA is run by the government, right? NASA's profit isn't necessarily in money. SpaceX is a business. They need to make money. And that's not a bad thing. SpaceX does do a lot of development with rocketry, which is fine. NASA does all kinds of planetary research, climate monitoring, not just on Earth, on Mars, on Venus, everywhere throughout the solar system. They also like there's meteorological satellites. Those are important. You want the weather report every day. You know, there's so much more stuff to what NASA does. Like the rovers on the other planets, Perseverance, Curiosity, that's all. The ISS, that's kind of important, right? There's a huge scope to what NASA does. It's not just building better rockets and launching things into space, right? And building a more comprehensive launch vehicle. That's only part of the solution. Srofek, it's a symbiotic relationship. NASA gets the money to work on this scientific stuff. NASA's profit is science. SpaceX is a good means to get that science. So NASA will pay SpaceX to do something for them, like move a satellite somewhere. Or they'll pay ULA to move a satellite somewhere, or Boeing to move a satellite somewhere, right? And Boeing one is, someone's going to make a joke. You get what I'm trying to say. And then NASA uses that science, and they publish that science for everybody to see. That's the profit there. SpaceX shouldn't take over NASA, and NASA shouldn't take over SpaceX. neither one of those is a good thing. Because, you know, privatizing science is a bad idea. You don't want to, I don't think it's wise to get into, like, climate science research. So monitoring, like, climate change, I don't think it's good to have a private entity control that. That's not a good idea. I don't think I need to say why, right? Like, I think everybody here knows enough about that. And if you don't, maybe that's a discussion for another day. Simultaneously, if you have the government controlling everything, there's no unchecked. That's an unchecked source. You know what I mean? There's checks and balances here. They're symbiotic. They work with each other. You know, they check. One checks the other. One checks the other. It's a good system to work with. Understand, Stro? It's like, think about it like this. They're different things. So they're like, think about it in this kind of construct. Okay, NASA is the tree. Okay, NASA's a tree. Quote me on that one. So NASA's a tree. What does a tree do? It takes CO2 from the atmosphere and it makes oxygen, right? And then it makes oxygen so humans like us can breathe said oxygen and survive. And then we can use the tree to make food, etc., etc. It's a circular thing. You know what I mean? It's a circular thing. If we had just all trees, we wouldn't be here. If you just had us with no trees, you'd have Mars, and we'd need to wear a spacesuit. Understand? NASA is a tree. EJ, 2021. And that's what floating, that's what I keep talking about. There's enough, you have to throw enough money at this problem. You can't throw too much or too little. You have to throw enough money at this problem to get it done right, but that really is entirely dependent on what you're doing. Starship is going to cost just as much money, if not more, to develop than SLS. Easily. Well, yeah, way more. It's a way more complicated vehicle, right? The only way it's going to end up being way cheaper than SLS is because it flies a lot. So that's what I mean about monetarily overcoming that problem. You're still going to have to pay the same, if not more, development costs to get that vehicle off the ground, figuratively and literally, to get those costs eventually to come down. It's a long-term solution, and that's why I like Elon, because he's in it for the long term. Live, check this, please. EJ going a Bug's Life on us, that's right, man.
Keeping the Monday launch opportunity open. So
you guys want to listen
so looking,
to this?
Further at whether that wasn't really going to build the landing of Crew 2 first, ahead of the launch of Crew 3. The Crew 2 vehicle remains in very good shape up on orbit. It's healthy and docked to station. The crew's in great condition. I think you got to hear them yesterday. They're excited to come home, and we're looking forward to having them back. So here are the numbers for Crew 2 return. We've got a primary undocking attempt tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern, with a splashdown about 18 hours later at a little bit after 7 a.m. Eastern on Monday. 18-hour return trip with a daytime splashdown. We'll be looking at weather again at undock -6, right, so that's still coming up here. We'll see if we can, if the weather gods will look favorably upon us. If not, we'll switch to our backup attempt, which is going to be Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, with a splashdown about 8.5 hours later at 10:33 p.m. That'll be a nighttime splashdown scenario. Both day and night recoveries have been certified, both have been exercised, and we're comfortable with either option. We're very much looking forward to seeing our Crew 2 crew back at home. Commander Shane Kimbrough with pilot Megan MacArthur, who fittingly is flying in the same spacecraft and even in the same seat as her husband Bob Behnken back on DM2. Also, JAXA mission specialist Aki Hoshida and ESA mission specialist Thomas Biscay. They've been adding to the U.S. spacecraft endurance record every day since they exceeded the previous record held by the Crew 1 resilience crew of over 167 days in orbit. By the time they land, Crew 2 Endeavour will have spent something on the order of either 199 or 200 days, depending on the day that we bring them home. Looking ahead to Crew 3, We have 3 launch opportunities next week. Those first 3 opportunities are November 10th, 11th, and 12th. Since we conducted the LRR some days ago, the Falcon, the Dragon have remained in launch configuration, as have all the ground systems. So we didn't break any configurations. All connections are still there, so they remain in a readiness state to launch. We'll have more for you on Crew 3 launch later in the week after the safe and successful return of Crew 2. And with that, I'll hand it over to Joe Montalbano.
Hey, thanks, Van, and thanks everyone for dialing in. You know, as Van has said, have been working extensively with the Commercial Crew Program, SpaceX, and our international partners to pivot to a landing first, followed by a launch, and in response to the latest weather conditions. You know, an indirect or a direct handover, I'll say indirect handover being what we're doing today, is something that we've looked at and we always look at and we're always prepared for. And so while we were planning, our prime was a direct handover between the Crew 2 and the Crew 3. The indirect handover was something that we have assessed, and it's not a brand new concept for us. It's something that the teams are well aware and something that we've been watching, and we do for every increment just to make sure we're prepared for something just like this. As Van said, you know, this crew spent it'll be almost 200 days, 199 days in space and 197 days on board the International Space Station with a splashdown Monday morning. They have performed over 300 experiments in utilization research, technology development, and low Earth orbit commercialization.
I don't know.
Throughout the expeditions, we've had 7 visiting vehicles come and go to the International Space Station, and this crew has participated in 4 spacewalks during their expedition. So we're excited to be planning for landing and then followed soon after for the launch of the Crew 3. So with that, let me hand it over to Sarah. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joel. So as highlighted, we are targeting no earlier than Sunday, November 7th, tomorrow, for the first departure opportunity for Crew 2. We just finished our undock minus 24-hour weather gate, where we looked at all the weather across all 7 of our sites. As Ben mentioned, it's looking more favorable in the Gulf here, and wave slope, lightning, and rain are all continuing to look good. Those are all within our limits, but the wind speed for the first undock opportunity is still hovering a couple knots or a few miles per hour above the go limit. So what we agreed to do was proceed to the next gate, which is undock minus 6 hours tomorrow morning, and we will look at the weather once again, and if those winds have died down to below our go limit, we'll proceed with that first opportunity. If they're still high, then we have another opportunity about a day later. So we'll keep crossing our fingers there on the weather, and once we do find that favorable weather for landing, Dragon will obviously undock from the space station, come back to Earth, splash down off the coast of Florida, as I said, most likely in the Gulf. And SpaceX recovery vessels will be waiting there to quickly move in and retrieve Dragon and the crew. So for SpaceX, there are several firsts for this mission. This was Dragon's first mission flying 2 international partners to the space station with Aki and Tomat. And it was the first time that 2 Crew Dragons were docked to the ISS simultaneously. When this Crew 2 vehicle arrived, Crew 1 was already up there, and they were both at station for about a week before Crew 1 came home. And then Ben mentioned that this vehicle has been up there for almost 200 days continuously, but because it also flew Bob and Doug to and from the space station for their 63-day Demo 2 mission back in May of last year, this Dragon in particular will have clocked over 250 days cumulatively in space, so another record for SpaceX. That's really exciting. So also mentioned with the times in great detail that we're working towards no earlier than Wednesday, November 10th as the first launch opportunity of Crew 3, and we'll continue to monitor the weather for that activity as well. As always, we'll work really closely together with NASA and all the teams to make sure the the hardware is ready to fly, and we're ready to bring a crew home safely and launch another crew safely to the space station. So we're grateful for this opportunity to partner with you, NASA and ESA and JAXA, and thanks also to the 45th Space Wing for your support in all these operations, and we're looking forward to bringing the Crew 2 crew home.
Matt.
Thank you, Sarah. And with that, we'll go to Junichi Sakai.
Thank you for introduction. First of all, on behalf of JAXA, I would like to sincerely thank the NASA leadership, SpaceX, our international partners, and all the members who are working so hard for the Crew 3 launch and Crew 2 return, and continuing ISS operation under the tough COVID-19 situations. As reported earlier, we all, including astronaut Hoshide Akihiko Aki, are ready for Crew 2 return. Aki has led the Expedition 65 and 66 missions as commander for about 5 months. Succeeding Japanese astronaut Noguchi Soichi, Aki has completed several innovative missions such as ISS EVA with ESA astronaut Thomas Pesquet as a collaboration between current commander and the next commander. Innovation of keyboard, support of installation of new Russian modules, and recovery from anomalies. And also, we JAXA, along with Aki, have conducted various activities to promote space exploration, national R&D, as well as the commercialization of low Earth orbit. We believe that these were all enabled through the excellent teamwork with the crew as well as the ground flight control team. I do believe all the crew has taught us what the importance of cooperation and mutual trust, and brought courage and hope for all of us against the great adversity we are facing on the ground. In addition, I hope our fruitful outcomes will further enhance our life on Earth and toward future exploration.
Well, it runs.
We are expecting that Aki's experiences will be succeeded to the JAXA astronaut Wakata Koichi and Furukawa Satoshi's long-stay missions in the coming years, and contribute to further reinforcement of our endeavors toward the expansion of LEO activities, technology development for future exploration, and enhancing international cooperations. And lastly, I wish the safe return of all the Crew 2 members and the successful launch of Crew 3. Thank you. I will hand it to the Barbara Nutella Isa.
Good afternoon. On the ESA side, we are looking forward to welcoming the Crew 2 back home after a successful mission. Following the crew return to ground, our team is ready to receive Thomas for his post-flight activities and his recovery in our facility at the ESA Astronaut Center in Cologne, Germany. This has been a very exciting time for us with Thomas on board the ISS. He has been part of 4 space walks. He has supported an impressive number of experiments on the ISS, several of which have been led and inspired by excited European scientists. We also find reason of pride in the fact that in the last month he has served as the commander of the ISS, taking over from Aki and passing his duty to Anton. He is the 4th commander of the European nationality on the ISS, and the first of the French nationality. And we cannot be prouder of his leadership, his contribution, and we are extraordinarily happy that he had an amazing crew with him on board. We are happy and ready for the upcoming launch of Matthias Maurer as part of the Crew 3 mission. And with him we will continue our European and international science on board the ISS. As been mentioned, it's a pity that we couldn't conduct the direct handover. This would have allowed our 2 astronauts to meet in space, but we understand the circumstances that led to deciding for a different plan, and we support this plan. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank NASA, SpaceX, and all the partners for the transparent exchange of information, for involving our agency in the discussion and in the decision that has been made. We are looking forward to another opportunity for a direct handover between Matthias and Samantha Cristoforetti in the spring. And we are grateful for the opportunity that we have been given to collaborate with amazing teams from NASA, SpaceX, our international partners, for advancing human exploration in space. So let's hope for good weather, and we will be ready for any circumstance. Thank you very much.
We'll now turn it over to the question and answer portion. As a reminder, you can press *1 on your phone to enter the queue, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. First, we'll start with Bill Harwood from CBS News.
Hey, thank you very much. I guess this is for Sarah. Weather aside, is Wednesday workable for Crew 3 launch, no matter where or when Crew 2 lands, assuming it lands Monday? In other words, I'm unsure about what the turnaround time is from a SpaceX landing to a launch in terms of getting ships in the right position, et cetera. And then for Vin, I guess, what is the policy right now in terms of telling us where a Crew Dragon is going to land? I know there are some restrictions on specifying that because of the Crew 2 episode. I'm wondering when you can tell us exactly what the preferred site is, when and where. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks for your question. It's certainly been a conversation we've had with a lot of teams at SpaceX and NASA, and so it's a very good question. So given the return durations for both the primary and the backup undocking dates, they both would splash down on Monday, either morning or evening. And so that shortest time before our first launch opportunity would be about 2 days, and that is a supportable amount of time. We looked at the assets and the personnel supporting both the Crew 2 recovery operations and the Crew 3 launch operations. The teams and the assets are actually largely independent. There's a couple of folks that support both, and that gives them multiple sleep cycles to be able to transition from one activity to the next and be well rested. It also gives us a chance to do a quick data review from the downhill leg of the Crew 2 vehicle, and so we can do some initial inspections on the boat. We can look at the telemetry from the return portion, and we'll hold a Delta launch readiness review with NASA at L-24 hours to the first launch opportunity. So that's an opportunity to pause and look at the data and make sure that all the teams are ready to support the next launch opportunity.
Okay. Hey, and this has been, let's see, for splashdown locations, with 7 different splashdown sites, and SpaceX is a very flexible system. They actually, with the dynamics of weather, the various combinations of up to 7 potential splashdown sites, and then the need to protect the crew and the public and the vehicle during splashdown operations, we sometimes don't know until late, and there can be changes right up to sort of the last moment. So we've been hesitant to put those out publicly long ahead of time, just because sometimes those could change. And of course, as far as the actual locations themselves, again, we're just trying to make sure that the folks are protected and that they're not, folks without we don't want to expose folks to danger that aren't part of the recovery operations.
Okay, if I could just really quickly follow up, though, does that mean that wherever you decide to go Monday, assuming you come home Monday, that you won't specify which zone it is until they're in the water?
Hey, Bill, this is Joel Montemano. What we're going to say is we'll say either the Atlantic or the Gulf side. In fact, we're sharing that today. We're going to say the Gulf side. But due to trying to maintain the safety of the recovery team and the safety of the public, we're going to hold off on announcing the exact location until landing.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
And our next question is
don't want
from
to tell
Stephen
people where
Hart
the
at
capsule's coming
Spaceflight
down.
Now.
Thank you. A question for Vin. Has the minor medical issue with one of the Crew 3 astronauts, has that been cleared right now? Is that no longer something you're tracking for a potential launch on Wednesday? And also, probably for Vin or maybe Sarah, the undocking opportunities tomorrow and Monday, do you still plan to do the photo survey and fly around for those, or has that been removed from the plan, and if so, why?
Yeah, for the minor medical issue, yeah, we continue to monitor it. We have every expectation that's going to be all cleared up prior to the launch attempt, so no issues there. For the fly around, just based on a trajectory perspective, we've taken that new capability, which is actually really exciting. This new fly around capability, which is technically available for the first time on this particular flight in this particular Dragon.
Super launch
and
system,
forward,
bro.
to fly around the space station and do inspections and so forth prior to departure. But due to
you guys gotta
trajectory,
see this.
we've taken that off for this primary launch attempt. Primary landing attempt.
And if I could follow up, would it be planned for Monday if you do bump the undocking to Monday, or how would that work out?
Super launch system.
Yeah, we're still evaluating that. With all the various combinations of landing sites, primary and backup sites, we're still evaluating that. It can fit in the timeline from a trajectory standpoint. We'll just decide operationally if we want to go pursue it for this flight.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Certainly.
God damn, that made me happy, Alex.
And our next question is from Marcia Smith at spacepolicyonline.com.
All right, let's see what we got. Marcia? No, Flacken, not yet. They pushed out that Crew 2.
Time issue. I thought Crew Dragon had a 210-day lifetime in orbit, and as you were saying, it's only been up for like 199 or 200 days. So I'm curious as to what the hurry is to bring them down before Crew 3 is up there, and as part of that, whether or not the fact that Mark Vande Hei is still going to be there, was that a factor in this? Because there still will be an American up there. So, for example, next summer when there's a chance that there might not be an American up there because there won't be one on the next Soyuz mission, would that have changed your decision this time?
Let's see, I'll take the front half of that, and perhaps Joel would like to take the Vande Hei part of that. Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. 210 days is the certified life of that vehicle. It does hit the 210-day mark on November 19th. We're generally heading into a period with, talking generically, as weather continues to degrade as we head into the winter in the northern hemisphere. Weather continues to degrade. So, weather's been such a factor in all these decisions so far. Looking forward, it doesn't get better as we go further into the month, and perhaps even into December. From a vehicle standpoint, and Sarah, if she chooses to, could elaborate. We don't know of any hard stops for 210. We've looked at that previously in our initial certification for the vehicle. So we looked at all aspects of soft goods and prop loading and so forth. So there's no hard cutoff there, and if needed, we could extend the life of the vehicle. We would simply need to work through all those details with SpaceX.
Yeah, those are good words, Ben. The 200-day limit actually came from a NASA requirement, and so that's what we've certified all of our hardware to. But we think the vehicle has sufficient margins, and we definitely want to complete all that homework and have NASA check over everything and make sure that they felt comfortable as well. But we think we're in a good posture, and we've got some time to bring it home. But as Ben mentioned, the winter weather is tough for both return and launch, and so we're just trying to make the right decisions to complete both activities in a timely fashion.
It's just like I said, guys. That 210 days it's not that the capsule couldn't be up there for longer. It's that NASA doesn't want it to be up there for longer because they're not sure what's going to happen. The components, that capsule could probably stay up there indefinitely for like a year. But the components have only really been tested out to about 210 days. So it is kind of arbitrary, but you also don't want to play Russian roulette in space like that. There's no undo button. So it's better to err on the side of caution, especially when it comes to spaceflight operations like that. That combined with the weather, basically what NASA just said is that the weather could be bad when past our constraint point. So it's better to bring them back now.
As a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star one on your phone to enter the queue. And our next question will be from Jeff Baus at Space News.
Yeah, good afternoon. A question for Sarah
Bingo,
Walker.
Steiner.
You mentioned
I got
the
it.
winds right now for a Sunday undocking, Monday morning splashdown are a little out of limit. I just wanted to clarify, is that sea surface winds or upper altitude winds, and what exactly is the limit that you're a little above right now? Thanks.
Yes, wind speed at the splashdown location, and I believe the limit is 7.5 knots for a primary, 2.5 knots for a alternate. I'd have to go confirm, but it's somewhere in that 12 mile per hour range, and we're hovering.
Okay, so sorry,
I'd have to go confirm, but it's somewhere in that 12 mile per hour range, and we're hovering a couple miles per hour above that right now.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Alaska today, and this is for Sarah. We're doing some reporting focused on helping students and young people deal with self-doubt. Can you describe a lesson you've learned about facing and overcoming obstacles?
Sure. All right.
Wow, that's a great question. That's a hard question.
See the guy in the background
dealing
laughing?
with self-doubt and overcoming obstacles. I mean, all of these scenarios that we're talking about are of huge consequence, right? I've personally been in the industry about 10 years, and to be a part of making decisions where the lives of the folks on station depend on the decisions we make certainly weighs heavily, right? I think that doing your homework and surrounding yourself with a capable team, we have hugely benefited from the partnership with NASA and all of their experience in space flight, and so we're super grateful to partner with them on these missions and have them a part of every decision that we make. That certainly helps. So yeah, I would say build the right community, the right team around you, and do your homework.
Galthrix, I can't hear you. I don't have my glasses on.
Thanks.
And our next question is from Ken Kramer at Space Up Close.
That was a good question.
Hi, thank you for doing this, and good luck with the landings and launches. My question is about the 210-day limit. I'd like you guys to talk a little bit more about the homework that you need to do to extend this beyond 210 days. I mean, it seems like you would like to do a handover, and so why not do that? I understand what you're saying about the weather, but I'd like to know more about your discussions about why not extend it beyond if you're almost ready to do that, and how much work do you have to do, and who would need to make that decision to decide to go beyond 210 days? Thank you.
It's a good question. Stylikovsky, listen.
Yeah,
this is important.
Maybe NASA can help me here. I think that initial limit was to bound the scenarios that they're looking at in terms of ISS utilization and when they want vehicles coming and going and bringing new crews and bringing existing crews home. And so we completed all of our certifications to that limit. We'd have some homework to do on all the systems to just verify that the qualified life, the testing that we did beforehand envelopes more. I am nearly positive that it does. We just have to go revisit all those tests and analyses and see how much more. But I think that the intent was to cover the current use cases of Dragon, and the goal was to have 6-month rotations of crews, of vehicles coming and going and performing science. So I don't know, Ben or Joel, if you have other words you'd like to add.
Sure, yeah, and I'll add a few. And of course, weather is, many of us have become very amateur meteorologists, but at least conversant enough in the terms, because it's been a really critical issue both for launches and landings.
Yeah, that's not a bad question.
Yeah, number one, there's a complex choreography of vehicles going to and from space station, of which this represents just a few just from U.S., and of course, ISS has to juggle and manage the very busy spaceport. From a 210-day limitation, that is the cert limit, and of course when you look at all the many thousands of aspects of certifying a vehicle, everything is certified, and anything that's got a lifetime has to be evaluated for a lifetime. In this case, that lifetime was 210
I scratched the itch and now I gotta sneeze.
In most cases. So we'll be looking at things like performance of the solar cells, right? Solar cells degrade while they're in space. These particular solar cells are actually performing very well. So on
it's trying
every
to go away on
Dragon
me.
2 vehicle that's come to
I
the
hate
space
it when that
station,
happens.
it's exceeded its certified performance, and degradation is less than what was assumed in the analyses. Propulsion systems have highly corrosive propellants inside, and so soft goods like seals can be a limiting factor. They can be in other spacecraft. In this particular one, they've shown no problems with exceeding the lifetime of 210 days.
Yeah, turbo sounds great.
Times the margin that we put on top for conservatism. There's the exterior tile protection system outside, which is exposed to all the full radiation of the sun as it's exposed up in space, as well as RTV. So there are just many different aspects, and those three that I mentioned are probably sort of the top aspects, along with any consumables that might be inside, like for instance the carbon dioxide removal or other consumables used inside the Dragon. So it's a very comprehensive analysis. We'd have to go back. Our teams have already started that relook. They've done an initial look. They're doing a relook. In this particular case, teams are primarily focused on that return. But for the future, we're always
Zace, this is the best time to learn stuff, dude.
Life. One other thing to add is that, as Sarah alluded to earlier, these Dragons were all built and designed for up to 5 and certified for 5 lifetimes, right? So this is lifetime number 2 on its clock of, its odometer of getting up to 5. So it's still well within its cert limit in almost all respects.
Well, this situation is likely to repeat. So are you more likely now to look at extending beyond 210 or not? Thanks.
Okay.
I would say generally not. There's a cadence of every 6 months, which is 182, 183 days. NASA would put about 30 days on top of that 182, 183-day cadence in order to get to 210. So in general, we'd like to launch and land as pairs in the spring and the fall of each year, because when you sort of look at the sweet spot of weather, that's where it is. If we get off cadence, then literally, if you look at North Atlantic weather, it gets very difficult to find good days to either launch into that environment or weather for landing as well. So there's just a lot more difficulty. And that's, I think, a similar reason why the Russians probably prefer that spring and fall cadence as well. And we're sort of positioning ourselves sort of in that similar time frame.
Thank you.
See, fellas, sometimes I have trouble remembering that journalists have to ask these questions, the dumb friggin' questions, to get them on record. All right? I forget that sometimes. So I'll be honest with you. I agree with you. That was a stupid friggin' question. They answered that. I could have told you the answer to that question. I did tell the answer to that question, before, right? I could have told you the answer to that. But Ken has to ask that question to get the answer on record so he can write that in an article. Remember, you know how we always get up people's tail about citing sources? Well, boom. This is the question that you need to ask to get that source, I gotta remember that from time to time, dude. I make that mistake. I'll admit that I do. I'm like, wow, that was a dumb question. It's not. They have to ask that so they can get a source, I understand that.
If the goal is we don't know exactly which one they're going to is the goal, to keep the public away from the specific area, or if you have any thoughts about that, just that, these locations are all out there. Thanks.
Yeah, no, and yeah, of course, the FAA is doing the right thing by publishing those NOTAMs. So the policy is that on the day of return, NASA TV does actually share the return date, the time, and the exact location. So I think that answers the first question of when are they formally released, and it is actually on the day of return. First question was the photo survey, and it has to do with the lineup of trajectories, and I'd have to get you a more detailed answer, but it really has to do with a mix of undock time, overall crew day, and the potential landing sites, right? So there's multiple constraints that sort of govern if we're going to do a photo survey. That operation takes a couple of hours. Adding those couple of hours then brings in, or adding the 2 hours can actually take out some potential landing sites. And one of the ways that it can take out potential landing sites is by violating the length of the crew day.
Okay, thanks.
Certainly.
And I would just add, too, that, we work closely with FAA on those notifications, and the reality is, as of this moment, we have not made a final decision on which of the 7 will be our primary and alternate. We're watching the weather for several, and we'll convene again in the morning, and so that L-6 or undock -6 hour time frame when we will make final selections and upload trajectories to the vehicle, that's kind of along the same time frame when those notifications go out as well.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
All of that is part of the same process.
Okay, thanks.
Correct, Mile.
And our final question is from Marcia Smith.
I gotta remember that, dude. I gotta remind myself of that, dude, because I know the
Thanks so much
answers
for
to most
taking a
of these
second question. I'm curious about whether or not you still have backup crew members when you assign crews to these missions, like the Russians do, and I know you used to do in the past. Because, of course, although weather has been a headache, a pacing item for this has been the minor medical issue for the Crew 3 crew member. So is it possible for NASA or ESA to substitute another crew member in a case like this? And if that isn't already the policy or the practice, is it something you're re-looking at?
So this is Joel. We do not carry backups specifically like the Russians do. At this time, we made a decision based on how we're gonna manage these flights, and to me, what we're trying to do is have the backups on like our Soyuz vehicle, where we'll have an astronaut on the Soyuz vehicle and a cosmonaut on our vehicles. But at this time, we're not planning on having a full set of backups. Now we have backups in the flow, but once you get down to the last few months before launch, you have a crew that's committed, and we don't bring, like the Russians bring the backup crew all the way to launch, and theoretically they're prepared to do a swap out very late in the flow. We kind of have that change is a few months out, where we can make a single change or so, but it's not something that we carry them all the way to the launch day.
So what does that mean for the future? So I have no idea what the medical issue is, but it's a minor medical issue. What if it was a major medical issue? For example, the Russians had to swap out somebody because he hit his eye against a branch of a tree or something, and so he couldn't fly, and I gather he's not going to be able to fly at all. But if one of the NASA astronauts had a major medical issue this close to launch in the future, what would you do?
What we would do is we would delay the launch until we got another astronaut who was ready to go. You can say, so for example, you have folks that have flown on the Dragon vehicle, on both the Demo 2 with Bob and Doug, as well as the Crew 1, that have suits ready and have the appropriate training, or the baseline training. So you would delay it such that you'd have to get them a suit fit, and then you'd have to be able to do any updated training to get them ready to go.
Huh. Have you come up with an estimate of how long that might take?
I don't have that today, but we can get that for you.
Okay, because there's a possibility that you could end up in a situation where there would be no Americans on board ISS, right? If it was a long delay, weeks or months or whatever, to get somebody else trained.
Yeah, in this example, we have Mark Vande Hei, so we're not.
It worked out this time, but.
And then in the future, we plan to fly on each other's vehicles, so that's how we're going to address that.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
And that's going to wrap things up for us.
That's the kind of stuff I don't like. I don't mind when people, like, I'm trying to flip the switches around here to, I get it if someone's going to ask a dumb freaking question because they're trying to get it on record. Those gotcha questions, those are the ones that piss me off. Like, I'm not a fan of those, dudes. It's just so annoying. Like, yeah, exactly. So they go fishing. That pisses me off, dude. Like, look, they're like, she's like, oh, what if it happens in the future? We're planning on that, obviously, to not happen in the future. Oh, but what if it does? Yeah, but what if it does, though? Well, we'll have mixed crews, so we won't have to worry about it. Yeah, but what if there's no Americans on the station? We can only plan this so far out. We're hedging our bets against doing that. We should have multiple safeguards in the future to prevent this problem from happening again. We weren't obviously planning on having this happen, right? Like, that wasn't the plan, but... Yeah, but what if it happens? But what about aliens? Yeah, gotcha questions are annoying. Like, I've been trying to get better at that, guys, because at first I was like, wow, that's a stupid question, you're an idiot, they just said it. Like, they have to. That's how they get a source. Like, I get it, and I understand that, right? But, yeah, but what if you get hit by lightning? It's like, it reminds me of that scene in Hot Fuzz. What was the most painful experience you've ever had? Have you ever been stabbed, Sergeant Fisher? Well, I have. How was it? It was the single most painful experience in my life. Well, what was the second most painful? Is it true that there's a part in a man's head that if you shoot it, it will blow up? Like, it's like... you know? Also, like, why would it be a problem for there not to be an American up there for a short time? I honestly wouldn't want that, Tars. I wouldn't. That's something you don't want happening. Now, the reporter is right. You don't want that happening, but NASA takes a lot of measures to make sure that that doesn't happen. That's what Joel was trying to say right there. Like, look, we don't have a solid plan because I can't predict the damn future. I don't know if this will happen again, but the best thing that I'm going to do is hedge my bets against it by mixing crews. Yeah, but what if it happens? Are you serious? I just told you that a moment ago. Is he speaking the language of the gods or the language of truth? Okay, Swishio, you want me to see this. What's up? All right, what do we got here? Like, I got to get better at that. Like, I get it. There's some, like Marcia Dunn was asking, and Ken, they asked good questions, but they're questions that they already went over. But they're doing it to get it on record. And, like, that's... Once again, it's something I have to click in my head because it, like, I'm very intently listening to these press conferences. That's how I learn. That's how I get so good at this. You listen to what they have to say. And there's no doubt that most, like, Ken obviously is listening. That guy's been covering space as long as I've been alive. So it is what it is. But yeah, like, I know he's asking a question to get the answer on paper so he can report that. That's fine. But why male models? Because I'm a hand model, mama. We're a different breed. We're not all dumb, but you know how much you hate it when you read sources say. Exactly. Sawyer, that's something I've been trying to get better at, dude, because before I used to freaking grill people. Like, dude, it was bad. I used to grill people I'm like, they just answered that, you dumb frick. I'm like, oh, like, it clicked a little while ago. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do that. You have to get the source. If you have to ask them so you could say, oh, I asked in this article, and this is what Joe Montalbano said. Boom, right there. That's your source. There you go. Like, I get it. I understand. The gotcha questions, though, those people need to piss off. That stuff is just so annoying, dude. You don't know better, all right? Admittedly, they're definitely dumb questions. There are people that ask the same thing twice and are just stupid, but yeah, glad you get it. Yeah, well, they're just trying to get it on record, too. That's all. Like, I get it. It's fine. You know, journalism is writing. Like, I get it. And everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. It's like if you ask 10 people to make you Tetris. Code me a Tetris game. Like, what language do you want it in? I don't know, just code it. You know, someone will choose this language, someone will choose this language, someone will use tabs, someone will use space. I get it. It's just different things that you can do. There's no, like, set standards for it. It's intentionally broad. I get it, you know? What's wrong with using all the same record? Well, that's what I do, Signer. That's my style. I listen. I put a very big value on listening to what NASA has to say. And I'd like to think that I've gotten pretty damn good at operations over time. I understand NASA ops pretty well. Long story short, it's like playing a game of chess. It's like playing a game of chess, dude. A good chess player will cover their moves. So if somebody tries, you don't sack a piece unless you absolutely need to. Or, well, I mean, that it depends. Like once again, I tell you guys, I've been reading about chess. Chess is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous game. Like, I thought playing StarCraft was tough. Like, whew. Kodio, what if Tetris for you? Do you want a gotcha system implemented in your Tetris? Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly, Tessa. I understand that. I get it. All right, anyway. When launch? Wednesday for Crew 3 right now. Can your source be someone else asking the same question? Blink, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say this person asked this question during this interview. NASA covers most of the points there. But there was some things that I did learn. There's also some things that I already knew. For instance, somebody asked me about the crew overlap. Somebody asked me about it yesterday. I forget who it was. Crew 2 is coming down before Crew 3 is getting up there. Pretty straightforward stuff to understand. Now, usually NASA would want, Crew 3 to get up there and then bring Crew down. That's the ideal scenario, but we don't have an ideal scenario here. Crew 3 got delayed multiple times. First time it was because of weather. Second time was because one of the astronauts on board hurt themselves, a minor medical injury. They probably just got a paper cut or something, or it's not anything crazy. It was only something to delay it by a couple of days, right? And then they tried to shoot for this weekend. The weather was bad again, and they're going to try to shoot for next week, right? Unfortunately, what this is doing is this scrub, then a scrub, then a scrub, then a scrub is screwing with NASA's timelines a little bit. But you remember what I was talking about before we were listening to this press interview. This is an unknown unknown. What do you do? What do you do? What do you have to do? You have to find a way to mitigate it, and you ideally do not want the station to be uninhabited. That's a no-no. You always want to have an American and a Russian up there, because there's two primary mission controls that control the space station. There's the USOS and the ROS. Star City in Moscow is controlling the power and propulsion element and the service module for the station, and the Russian segment, everything else in the Russian segment. And then the international side is Houston. So you have Moscow and you have Houston. You need to have an American and a Russian up there. The reason why is in case something goes bad. If something goes bad, you want a native speaker communicating with mission control. Can you imagine trying to diagnose an engineering problem on the space station with somebody on the American side of the space station with somebody that just speaks Russian? Or is not very fluent in English, or is not like totally fluent? That's a bad idea. Yeah, that's a really bad idea. This is what I mean about a chess game. All right, so what did NASA decide to do? Because Crew 3 is scrubbed so many times, they'll pull Crew 2 down because Mark Van He is up there with Peter and Anton. All right, they're coming. He flew up on MS-18, and I think he's going to fly down on MS-20, I think. That's why they rotate the station so much. Yeah, so because Mark is up there, it's fine. This particular scenario, that's the best course of action. Pull Crew 2 before Crew 3 goes up because Crew 3 scrubbed so many times. Now, why? Why are you pulling Crew 2 first? Well, NASA has a 180-day limit on components on Dragon. That's imposed by NASA. Why? Why is that imposed on NASA? Well, they only expected people to be up there for 6 months. So you only test components up there for 210 days. 180 plus a little bit just in case. That 180 to 210 days on the capsule is the safety factor. And the safety factor is paying off in this particular case, right? You always just leave a little bit of margin, right? Now, so all this stuff is only tested out to 210 days. That does not necessarily mean that it couldn't be up there for a year. You could probably keep knowing SpaceX, you could probably keep that up there for a long time. I'm positive you could. But this capsule on this particular mission is only supposed to be up there for 6 months. That's it. So it's only tested out to 210 days. Now you're getting, if you go past that 210 days, it'll probably be fine. But Challenger probably was fine until it wasn't. You know what I mean? Don't play that game. You're rigging the game against you. You have an American up there. Mark is up there. He came up on a Soyuz. He'll stay up there. He's going to stay up there indefinitely, at least in time for Crew 3 to get up there. So the right move is to bring Crew 2 down before you get into that uncharted territory with Dragon performance outside of 210 days. That's the smart move to do. That's covering, that's like castling in chess. You're protecting against yourself. Well, not against yourself. You're protecting against physics. You're being you know exactly that capsule can be up there for 210 days. That's what was tested. That it's as tested. So send it back a couple of days early. Mark will be fine on the station for 2 or 3 days, and then send Crew 3 up. No problem. That's the right move. That's the safe move. That's the safe move to ensure that you're not allowing anything to get into uncharted territory. So that's what I mean about that gotcha question about, oh, well, what if there's nobody up there? Well, you certainly have to deal with unknown unknowns in ISS operations. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Joel Montalbano's job is easy. It's not. It's not an easy job. There's a lot to manage here. But NASA showed in this particular scenario that they had multiple redundant backups to this plan. They could extend Crew 2, the Crew 2 mission by a week, no problem. Right? And Mark is also up there as a safeguard. It's a chess piece covering another chess piece. Right? NASA showed that their planning and operations and their redundancy that they put into the program shows that, that question, oh, well, what if there's no Americans up there? That is very unlikely to happen. And that's why Joel said, hey, we're going to mix crews in the future, so we shouldn't have to worry about this. There will be Russians, there'll be Americans, there'll be Starliners and Dragons and Soyuz, oh my, and maybe even an Eagle capsule up there someday, He's shown basically with what's going on right now that they're prepared for that kind of scenario if it does happen. That's why that gotcha question is annoying. What's an Eagle capsule? Oriol, Revel. Eagle capsule. NASA's always been the kind of organization to have well-documented ready plans A to Z. Well, Synerd, those well-documented and ready plans A to Z are written in friggin' blood, but yes, absolutely.
Discovery.
I find your distrust of Europeans and Russians very insulting. What? Oh, yeah, of course, Swishio, you're Euro trash. Why should I trust you? The Russians, I trust them. The Russians are alright. I don't know about you guys, though. The Russians' next generation capsule map is called Oriol, which is the Russian word for eagle. Or Euro trash with no crew capacity. Oh, now I feel bad, Thomas. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Alex is like, bread, and I'm like, okay. You don't trust the Germans? No, I trust the Germans just fine. It's the Dutch that I don't trust. And the Brits, too. Those cheeky guys, they're up to something. Look, the last time everybody just kind of left Britain to their own devices, they took over like half of the world, all right? Same with the Dutch. It happened, okay? It happened. I'm on to you, you fricks. You fricking fricks! You ruined exploration! When will you learn? Sorry. We put an end to that, didn't we? What? But how cool would it be if they did have their own capsule? Nah, we're just messing around. And then we probably did most of the same thing. No, we didn't. Domino effect, Synerd. Duh. American trash, Swishio. Get it right, please. We're not like you. All right, and we'll do it again. Well, Eurotrash are launching that SAT of yours. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm afraid of. We're just messing. I don't, dude. I disrespect everybody equally, so we're good. Wait, what? What did the Dutch do? SARS, they did a lot of stuff. You probably just should go look that up on your own. The spice must flow! What didn't they do? I'm just gonna go over here. No, anyway. Alright, Swishio, what was this comment that you said, that you linked up? Let me see. So this is by Matt Flavel. Okay, so people don't really understand space projects. Space is complicated and tough, alright? NASA approaches this the right way by testing components. Other companies in the space business do not have our safety standards. So yes, SLS is delayed, but I'd sooner fly SLS than anything else. Yeah, Dennis has it right here. This must be, he must be talking about something contextually. Matt must be, fellas, Swishio, I'm pretty sure he's talking about Starship, the argument of Starship versus SLS. Because why say fly SLS than anything else? Obviously, he's talking about going to the moon because SLS is the unique capability. It's the avenue to the moon right now. It's the one that's the closest to being finished, right? He has to be talking about SLS versus Starship. I'm pretty dang sure. To be fair, I choose SLS over Starship for a little while. Yeah, of course. And that's what I mean. He's absolutely right about NASA testing the components. That's what he means. That's what he means. And this is the logic flaw that people see. All right? The logic flaw that people make, not that people see it. The logic flaw that I see that people make. That's what I was trying to say. It's not that NASA is like stuck in their old ways. That has nothing to do with it. It is all about the data and the testing. It's not what you know. It's what you can prove, Jake. Seriously, no, that's what it is. NASA didn't want to load and go propellants on Falcon 9. Falcon 9 uses a different fueling procedure than what NASA was used to. It used a different fueling procedure, right? To get more performance out of the booster, to give the booster the performance to go up and then come back down. All right, that extra performance squeeze required SpaceX to load the fuel in a different way. And NASA didn't want to do that until SpaceX proved statistically that it was safe. So they didn't. SpaceX redesigned entire components on Falcon 9s, composite overwrap pressure vessel placement, all the stuff to hold that stuff all together, fueling procedures, pad procedures. They redid all of it to show NASA with engineering, testing, and data analysis from operational missions to the space station with Dragon 1s, that what's called load and go was working correctly. And now NASA has no problem flying people on Falcon 9 because SpaceX proved empirically that it's safe. They proved it by flying a lot. That's what Matt means. That's what he's talking about. Now, SLS, on the other hand, I know what people are thinking. If you're following this conversation, you're thinking, SLS hasn't flown, so how can that be safe? The SLS uses a different type of testing than SpaceX. It's waterfall testing, okay? You don't know if something is going to malfunction, but you do know the abort system's going to work if something does malfunction. Why? Because of the AA-2 mission. NASA's already tested the escape system. They know that works. They flew it already. 2 years ago? Sawyer, when was AA2? That was like 2 years ago. Man. Were you there for that? That was a good flight. That was cool. I thought that was a fun mission. Was it 2 years ago? Oh, God. So, because NASA is iterating a different type of testing, what they have flown is the abort system. They know the abort system works. So if something does, God forbid, if something goes wrong with Artemis, They know that they could get the capsule away no matter what, because that's already flown. Orion's parachutes, already flown, bunch of times. It been used for re-entry of an Orion capsule on EFT-1 in 2014. That's already happened. The components, long story short, the reason why Matt is like, I'd fly on SLS before I would fly on Starship is because, yeah, SLS might not be flight tested yet. But if something does go wrong, the stuff that'll get you the frick away from it if something goes wrong absolutely has been tested. That's what he means. That's what he's talking about, Swishio. Now, like I said, I'm fairly confident that most people don't understand the context of what he's saying. So let's read. Let's see if they do. Dennis brings up a very good point, and let's see if Matt replied to him. Oh, somebody said it, which means SpaceX Falcon 9 had to pass NASA safety standards to get certified to launch NASA astronauts. Bingo. See? Twitter! Yes! Didn't let me down for a change. Yes! They didn't let me down. Thank you. Did somebody on Twitter actually just make sense? Oh God, we're all gonna die. Nobody's ice skating in hell, right? Oh God, we're all dead. The apocalypse is happening. Sounds like a bit like you're implying that Falcon 9 isn't safe. Let's see. I'd wager he's more implying about stars. Oh my God, another person! Another person that made sense! Holy shnikes, that's two in the same thread! What is happening? Okay, yep. End stream. We need to buy a lottery ticket now. Glitch in the Matrix. It happened twice. You're right. They changed something. We're trapped. Operator? Yeah, I need an out. It went dead. We're trapped! Anyway. SRBs were tested for 40 years. The engines are flight tested on the shuttle. Capsule and abort tested. It's just to test if all the pieces can work together. Yeah, it's called all-up testing. Swishio. Yeah, mm-hmm. Not like this. Not like... Yeah, right, Tessa? Yeah, Bacon Airways have reported he's skating to work. Yeah, right. I checked the forecast. It's literally 0C in hell. Norway at the Okay. I'm just waiting for the lightning in your guitar to start making weird sounds, right? That was still a really cool science experiment, tech guy. When there was lightning close to my house, right? It picked the magnetic pickups on the guitar picked up the EMF. That was cool. I thought that was really neat. That made me happy. It picked up the electromagnetic field from the freaking lightning. You know how close the lightning needed to be to do that? Oh no. You know how close that had to be? Like, we're not talking like within a mile. That had to be a couple 100 feet away. I'm like, oh God. I hope it doesn't strike my house, you know? Alex, that happened during the summer. Yeah, 2 times in a row. Yeah, dude, I had a lightning storm. We had a thunderstorm come through that was so bad. Like, first of all, the thunder was audible. You could hear it. You could hear it in the soundproofed room. You could hear it just fine. Second of all, it was enough to... So, like, I have my guitar piped in through the stream through an amplifier. The magnetic coils on the guitar picked it up, and it made a noise like that. Yeah, it picked up the EMF, which is strange. Yeah, Thomas has the clip. Yep, it went like that, which is pretty cool. I've had lightning blow out your bass amplifier. Oof. It sparked. No, that's not good. AM radio will pick up the EMF from lightning from a long ways away. Tune it to a staticky station, and every time lightning strikes, the station will get way worse. Science, man. God damn, Eagle electricity is cool. No wonder Tesla liked it so much. It's really interesting stuff. I only thought ghosts radiate EMF. Anything that has electricity running through it radiates an EMF, dude. I don't know which coil picked it up, Senchai. I know that the guitar was set for all pickups to be working, so it could have been the single or the double. Yeah, Jim, you see how loud that was? Like, dude, for the coils to pick it up and for you guys to hear it, that had to be within 100 feet. Like, we're talking like 30 meters away. Like, that had to have been real close. Slightly modified AM radios are the basis of most of the lightning detectors used by the National Weather Service and all those lightning mapping websites. Yeah, Tech. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, this is my Squire Strat, dude. Look at that. Something's wrong. What's going on here? I can get this Fender to sound like a Gibson if you said it right. Do you play? No, not very much. It is on just the humbucker right now, dude. La Villa Strangiato. Here, alright, how about... Suck. I'm so bad at this. I'm sorry to say this, but the Lightning did much better. Thank you. Thank you. Kamir, where's your stream where you play in front of people? Oh, wait, you don't have one. Guess that means you need to shut the frick up. That's what I'd do if I didn't have a stream and play the guitar on it. I would shut the frick up. Shut the frick up! Oh, wait a minute. You don't have an army. Guess that means you need to shut the frick up. Sorry. Yeah, UN doesn't like what I do. You should sanction me. Sanction me with your army. Oh, wait a minute. You don't have an army. Oh, that's my favorite, man. So stupid. Think about getting a 6-string? You own a bass? Right on, man. What kind of noise does a witch's vehicle make? Broom, broom. Ugh. I'd like to apologize to UN for not having an army, because even though they don't have an army, you might speak 16 languages, but you're gonna need it when you in Times Square selling fake hats. I know Gucci when I see it, man. I'm rich. Oh my god. All right, let's go. Let's go see what's going on with Starship, man. Oh my goodness. Dread, every time, dude. Every time I reference it, I always start laughing. It's so goddamn funny. Why is that so funny? I don't understand. He bought some yellow cake. He bought aluminum tubes. I have to tell you what the frick you can do with an aluminum tube. Aluminum! I can't not laugh. It's so stupid. I love it. All right. All right. Here, let's check out the NSF footage for the day, man. Said anything about oil, man? You cooking? Get out of here! Come on, run! Oh my god. Oh, I'm sorry. EJ, you must admit there's magic in this world. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Garvik, if there's a big man upstairs or something, I'm just hoping I'm not pissing him off. Like, let me put it to you like that, dude. Hey, this footage is coming from our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight. Make sure you go over and support those guys, dudes. You know the deal. I just hope I ain't pissing them off, dude. Oil? Said anything about oil, man? You cooking? It's okay, at least I got ice cream. Lieutenant Dan, ice cream. Gesundheit. Do we have a name for the big SpaceX crane, the one that they just assembled? I think we should call it Jeff. It's just venting. It's weekly therapy session. No, Jeff like Jeff, not Geoff. No. Not the we're not. No, we should call it Jeff. It'd be like, Jeff is moving SN20 to the pad. People are like, who's Jeff? And you'll be like, exactly. Yeah, see, Battle Rock, you get it. Yep. Yeah, like this, like. My name is Jeff. I'm Jeff. Like that. Oh, see, there's the Franken crane. Bye bye. Jeffafa. Or we could call it Barf. It's short. What's it short for? Bartholomew. But Jeff can't get it up.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Oh, Mog, half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. Eagle, you just want to share a song that's stuck in your head? I'm not clicking on it. I ain't clicking on that. I'm my own best friend. But Jeff has nothing to do with Starship. Exactly. Or we could call it Asphincter. Sphincter says what? Exactly. Hey, hired 34-month resub. What? Exactly. I have proof. So Jeff Buenos finally launches something into orbit. Hey. How much do those engines weigh? Enough to need an F-450 to tow them around, dude. So that should give you a good idea. They're heavy. They're heavy engines. Actually, what we've come to figure out, Gujar, is that the engines are actually pretty dang light considering their size. It's the pallet. The pallet and the brackets they intentionally make heavy to lower the center of mass. See this? The pallet is a big freaking slab of metal. That's done on purpose. The engine, for what it is and its size, it's actually pretty light. Raptors have very high thrust to weight. They're very light for the amount of thrust that they make. But the thing that carries it requires a heavy-duty forklift because this thing down here is super freaking heavy. You Pinhead? Who you calling Pinhead? Hello. What's up, beautiful? I vote on George from Halo Reach simply because it's as tall as the genuine article. Good call. Isn't EJ too old for SpongeBob? Oh, come on. There's always room for SpongeBob. Hi, Minoy! Neofang! I bet you could fit it in the new truck. Probably Solaire, but I don't think I could. I think if I did, the suspension would be like this. I wonder if a fall from this height will kill me. Just like Jello. Oh, come on. There's always room for Jello. Oh, hey, that's fun. What's up, DK? How you doing, man? I'm just watching these trucks drive by. And there's Ferd. I'm literally working on today's vid. Oh, right on, dude. Sweet. Now, DK, be real, son. Be real, son. Do we get to hear that silky voice of yours? In today's Starship video, SpaceX will be moving around crane... Come on, please. Just put that in there. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just don't ask questions, all right? Just do it. Do it! So, all right, anyway, moving on. You're working on today's daily? Hell yeah, dude. These videos are clutch, man. So good. Will be one coming up that'll have you, though. Heck yeah. This is a big boy crane right there. We got the little boy crane making the big boy crane. See, DK, I love shots like this. I love the shots like this because you see the people next to the equipment and then you realize how big some of this stuff actually is, and it's just like, what? Yeah, this is my favorite, dude. That's what I think that's the breadwinner from this footage, dude. You guys, you know, Mary and Nick get up close and they show like this is just a dude assembling a crane, dude. You could go to any city and get this, right? But you see it next to Starship and you're like, damn, dude, that's a big crane for a big spaceship. Yeah, people on the launch table. Yeah, exactly. How about the guys crawling up on the quick disconnect? You're just like, that's not low to the ground. All right. Okay. Or these guys. I mean, that building's already freaking huge. My apartment could fit inside of it. My apartment block, not like just my apartment. I wish my apartment was that big. Now look at these dudes. It's gone up real fast, yep. Excuse me. Looking and analyzing. They grow up so fast. Yeah, right. What's he doing here? Oh, look, they got a load leveling bracket. You see how this bracket here has multiple it has multiple throughs in it, like that. That's to load level something, so you pick up stuff on its center of mass. So basically, if you picked up the beam from the side, you don't want the beam to kind of be like this. You want it to be more straight. That's why they have that triangular bracket with all the holes in it, so you can pick up beams from different ways to get them to go up as straight as possible. Now, they didn't do it for that one. See, if you look, guys, they picked that beam up just off center, just a little bit, because that beam goes in diagonally. See, they picked it up just a little bit off the side. The center of the beam is right there. Picking it up a little bit off the side, it'll be at a 45-degree angle because you're just to the left of the center of mass. And see how he's putting the pilot bolts in there? If you're wondering why they only put a couple of bolts in these suckers, it's because they're mocking it up. Basically, see how he's hitting the thing with a hammer? They just mock it up and they get the thing kind of flimsy, and then when all the pieces are in place, they'll start banging the building around with hammers and stuff to make sure that everything is nice and true. Because when you place it, it might be just a little bit off center. You got to get everything true, and that's when all the bolt holes line up. It's like a very, very advanced version of IKEA furniture. What do we call the wide bay in IKEA speak? Do we call it Malmo? Or something? It's like assembling furniture. Spiffy, yes! Yes! Awesome! That's exactly what it's like. Wait a minute. Is that the staircase? Just call it Marcus? Well, Marcus is my chair. Bredvik. Okay. Did you guys see that? They took the stairs and they put the stairs inside of the high bay. Wow. Don't mind me, just spaceship parts, it's fine. Man, these rings are, you know, when they first started making them, they really started to look like kitchen appliances. Now this thing, Starship's really starting to look like a spaceship, dudes. The stairs are for the bar, apparently. That would suck to go back down at the end of the night. That would really suck a lot. Yeah, well, they're not using a metal hammer. You use a rubber mallet. EJ, how are they able to get such close-up shots? It's right by the street. Just pull up in your car. You can take pictures. Raptor Center headed towards Booster 4. Yeah, telephoto lenses probably help. Yeah, right? Yeah, it's ours. It's true. Yeah, Barrel, right? It's, yeah, ridiculous how crappy, like, Starhopper looks compared to some of these prototypes coming out of the high bay. We used to be able to get a ton closer. Yeah. Yeah, the road behind behind the build site, right? Is the street that goes up to SN in 15 and 16 public? Yes, some of it is. Some of that road is. I forget what the name of the road is. DK, what's the name of the road that leads to SN 15 and 16? Yes, Flykin, of course they are. Yep. Guys, all right. NSF coordinates with SpaceX. They don't just go and they don't just show up and take pictures. Most of the guys that have the 24-hour views down there, they all talk. It's not like NSF is just shooting from the hip when it comes to this stuff. The SpaceX knows that they're there. I was looking at old footage for a video about, and boy, did we get real close. Yep. I don't know the roads very well. Yeah, sure, no problem, dude. Yeah, it's the road behind the build site, dude. Remedios is fully public unless testing is being done. Yeah, there you go. You always have to have a staircase redundant to the elevator, Andy. because of fires. In the event of a fire, you don't use the elevator. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, boy, pull that mast back. So are they launching from here or building it and then moving it? They're launching it right from that thing, right there. Akash, that thing over on the left, the tall tower. So if you look at this picture, right? So you have two test stands over here, okay? You have test stand A and test stand B, all right? Ship 20, Starship, is on B. The remains of booster number 3 are on pad A, test pad A, and then Super Heavy is just on a holding jig there, and they're working on it right there. So you have SN20, the remains of booster 3, and booster number 4, and then Starhopper. Starhopper is the tiny one right here. SpaceX, that was SpaceX's first test article. That thing actually flew. It took off from pad A and went over here and landed, and then they moved it off to the side, and it's a water tower now. So, yeah. So, over here, there's all the fuel tanks for going into space, right? It's not just fuel tanks. It's liquid fuel oxidizer, nitrogen, a couple of other things that you need to get this thing to go. What SpaceX is going to do is they're going to take this thing, they're going to stack it on this little stool over here. See this thing that looks like a stool? In reality, that thing's like 5 to 6 stories tall. It doesn't look like it's high off the ground in this picture, but it is. They're going to take this booster, and they're going to put it on here, and then they're going to take this thing, and they're going to use the crane to put it on top of that. And then they're going to use the fuel in here to launch it. This thing is going into space. At least that's what SpaceX's current plan is. The SN20 is going to fly into space, or ship 20, and then booster 4. Booster 4 is going to make it into space, and this thing, it's going to turn around and come back, and that thing's going to make it into orbit. What they're trying to do is test the tiles. They got to test the black tiles on the bottom there. Are they just going to use a crane to pick up Starship and plop it? Well, they have their own crane. You could see it right there. That's the SpaceX crane right here. They might use the crane to lift it up. They could use the catch mechanism to lift this, to integrate the booster. I've heard that SpaceX said they want to be able to do that if it makes it into space. Yep. How tall is the crane? The service structure here is 525 feet. So that should get you a good estimate of how tall everything is here. It's big. The scale that we're working with here is gigantic. It's bigger than you think it is. Crazy how much has been done in a year. Yeah, indeed, Thomas. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway, anything else here? Here, let's see if we can find an up-close shot for other people to see here. Enhance. Trying to see if we can find a picture of the guys working on the orbital launch mount. Here, let's use this one. Yeah. See what I'm talking about? It's big. This is big infrastructure, man. Very, very large. See the guys up there? Look at the dudes right there. See the dudes on the basket? Comparatively to the booster, this is big, man. Very big. That's one of the test pads right there. Oh, yeah, I remember this video. Yeah. Let's see if I can find more stuff. Yeah, in this video, they're moving test articles around. Frilled, I agree. 20 looks really cool. It's starting to really look like a spaceship. Hello. Wednesday, tech guy. Hello. That guy right there with the little control panel is the one that he's driving it. He's the one that's driving that thing around. You guys remember, 15 flew. That thing has been up to, what is it, 40,000 feet? That freaking thing. That's still hard to understand. It's hard for my mind to... Like, I know what the thing is doing. I understand what it's doing, but... Huh? What? Those are shuttle engines, right? Vacuum optimized Raptors. Basically Starship's upper stage engines. They kind of look like shuttle motors though, don't they? Dude, with this on it, man. Oh, that really drives it home. That's really starting to look like a rocket engine that goes on a space shuttle. And I love it. I love it. Love it! Oh, that's so freaking cool, man. Is that a permanent attachment? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. You want to keep the turbine machinery cool because the bottom part of the rocket engine gets a little warm. Are those the most powerful SpaceX engines? Raptor is, yeah. Not necessarily vacuum over sea level, but yeah. When are we supposed to start seeing Raptor 2.0? Next year, if I had to guess. It's based off of no concrete information. Also, read the red plate at the end of the nozzles, okay? Starship static fire. I can't see what it says, Phil. Yeah, I mean, it's behind me. It says Starship static fire removed before flight. I was reading more detailed into the specs about the new LT6, and its fuel line pressure is as high as Raptor's chamber at 345 bar. I still like the 3 butterfly valves in the intake manifold, Hellfish, so you can switch between single and dual plane intake manifolds. I thought that was really freaking cool. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Starship static fire ring removed before flight. Oh, yes. Interesting. Excuse me, what the frick just drove by? Yeah, right, look at that. It's being towed by a dang old Ford. Brain not compute. Not compute. Brain do what good more? Has anyone ever as even possible to do what more like? How to get a broad power band. Bingo. Got to make the low end torque. Long runners plus a variable geometry plenum, which is That's a thing that exists now, which is pretty cool. I don't hate it. Anyway, all right, guys. I think we're anything else? Covered the NASA press conference. Covered the NASA space flight stuff. With working NASA allowed again, what do we expect new to be happening at Boca Chica? Probably another mock-up Foz, if I had to guess. Like, what do you think? They scrapped the other mock-up. SpaceX scrapping that HLS prototype mock-up the other day tells me that they probably knew the outcome from the Court of Federal Claims case. It probably just took a second for it to be public. I mean, obviously they're not going to say anything about it. They probably got rid of that prototype because it was made out of spare Starship parts, right? And they're probably building a more high fidelity version now, if I had to guess. I mean, that's just a guess. I don't know. James Webb Space Telescope's Ariane 5 first stage has arrived in the Banff. Nice. Cool, cool. Nope, fixed gimbal on the upper stage engines. The NOTAM has been posted for the Ship 20 static fire on Tuesday. Next week should be fun. Cool. Okay, that Z06 intake looks insane. I would almost expect NASA going to bat for them to help push HLS along. Well, NASA does have a little bit of a vested interest there, of course. But they got to make sure that they're not, conflict of interesting it, I guess. Here's the highest resolution that the imager negatives allow. Ooh, C22, I want to see this. C22 has some really awesome pictures for us. Here, check this out. These are sweet, dude. Found some negatives. Oh, who knows what rocket that is, and who knows what pad that is. If you should be able to tell from the pickup truck. Oh, these are fantastic, dude. Antares? Nope. See the triangle? Delta. Oh, look at old Slick 17. That's so cool. Too bad it's just a parking lot now, but... Where the heck did you find these, C22? Where did you find this? eBay. Are you Samuel James Witwicky, descendant of Archibald Witwicky? Look at the old fixed service structure. That's Slick 17. Whoa. Oh, that's cool. $8,000 by $10,000 enhance. Man, these are really nice pictures. Damn, dude. Hey, what up, Delta? Boop. Sorry. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Yes. I'm sorry. My bad. 10 out of 10 launch impression. Thanks. Whoa, blockhouse pictures. Look at that. Oh, that's so rad. I agree, Phil. Yep. Loving the giant raceways on the ceiling. Yeah, who knows how many wires these things were carrying. Look at this. Look, it's got a bunch of switches. And a rotary phone on console. Oh, that's so cool. Look at this. That's awesome. It makes you so happy. It's so stupid. Again? Oh, no, I don't want to do it again. Those old lights are sweet. Original green painting to keep the stress down. Yeah, that's probably true. Now 3D model all of it? Dude, the heck with that, man. Let's go get some metal and we'll make one. You can find the switches. It's fine. State of the art. Yeah, dude, this is cutting edge stuff. And the McDonnell Douglas jackets are clutch. That's right, dude. That's right. Oh, that guy was moving when he took the picture. That guy's like, yes, look at this. Yes, look at the gauge. Yep, look at manual fuel gauges. This is prop over here. This is all propellant stuff. Yes. Look. It's pretty awesome. Electrical up there. So, see the difference? Those are electrical gauges up there, I'm pretty sure. These are fuel gauges down here. It's like it was like on airplanes. These are old school fuel gauges here. That guy's the launch director, I'm pretty sure. There's the assistant launch director. Spacecraft coordinator. Oh, that's so cool. Sometimes I wonder, dude, like, could you, have you ever wondered, like, have you ever had a dream where you ever wondered, like, if somehow we got all of this equipment back together, do you think it would still work? Like, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't, right? These are awesome pictures, C22. Like, I've often thought of that. I've often thought of that. If you just basically built an old school rocket to spec nowadays, like to 1960 spec, you could do it. I don't see why you couldn't, right? Like, it wouldn't cost, like, wouldn't it, like, not cost that much to make? Like, surely a guidance system that was cutting edge 50 years ago shouldn't be that hard to make nowadays, right? With the exception of the AGC. The AGC is the one exception to that rule, I guess. Need a source for asbestos, probably. You're not wrong. Last, please, when you were looking at that picture with all the people. Okay. The dude in the back under the clock. Yeah, I saw the guy under the clock. He's like, huh? Resto model rocket confirmed. Leroy, that's basically what I'm asking. Like, I wonder where it would be if the Soviets won the moon race. It'd probably be still going. Not if it's an electromechanical computer, in which case the knowledge might be lost to transistors. You've heard of Vice Grip Garage. Get ready for duct tape hanger. Yeah. Qualifying replacement parts would be the most difficult thing. Yeah. Last for some Delta launch goodness. Oh, I see it. I see it floating. Yeah, I saw it. It looks like that thing has an Aegina upper stage. From what I can tell there. Alright, alright. I just gotta do one thing real quick. Got any pictures of cars? Where are the cars? Let me see the cars. Hey! Alright, what do we have here? Chevy. No, maybe a Dodge. I don't know. Chat, what do you think? Yeah, I think that's a Chevy. SRB, Lambo. Alright, let's see what we got. Oh no, this parking lot. Oh mama. Oh, nice. What else we got? What else we got? What else we got? Old Dodge van. A Volkswagen Beetle. Nice Ford. Oh, can I just have that whole parking lot? There's a Mustang in Highland Green over there. Yeah, I kind of want that. Oh, this parking lot is dope. Look at the quad cab. Quad cab step side, bros. On a 1 ton. It's a 1 ton quad cab step side. I want it. I want it. The truck is so cool. Hey, Catalina. Nice car. I want the truck. Oh, dude. Country Squire. Nice car. That's cool. Oh, man. I think that's a Dodge. I'm pretty sure. It looks like a Polara. No, bad EJ. No more trucks. You shut your mouth. You shut your filthy mouth. Shut up. I need help. It's just not right now. Yeah, clock guy is really, really happy. Did you see that truck with the camper bed? Yep. The Rocket. Delta M6, number 83 Coast Bar, 1970. Cool. There's no such thing as too many trucks. That's right. That Country Squire wagon, man, is so cool. Have you seen the latest photo from RGV? Is this the comparison photo? Oh. Let's check this out. C22, thank you for sharing those pictures. Those pictures are very, 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 very interesting to look at. I really appreciate it, man. So this one's coming from RGV Aerial Photography. Oh yeah, look at that. See, the chopsticks are pivoted. Oh, that's so cool. Look at this thing. Yeah, Flankin, I gotta be careful about keep steering us back onto subject, man. Cars are my vice. Heck, I look at the parking lot of new cars at frickin' Boca Chica. I'm like, ugh. It's like a frickin' dog whistle, man. I can't help it. Gotta show some restraint. It's the Carcane Blizzard. I can't help it. Y'all got any more of that? I wonder when the chopsticks will move under their power for the first time. Now the pulleys aren't hooked up, COVID, so I don't think that we're gonna see them move for a little bit. There was another RGV picture that Thomas showed me. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, this is the one that Thomas wanted to. Oh, look at this picture. This was a year ago. What the hell? What the frick? Remember the 59 Impala with the wings in the back? Yeah, the 59 had the sideways, though. Didn't it? Wow. It's nuts, dude. That's the crazy part right there. The whole fuel farm in less than a year is just done. And they're loading it with fuel, which is the insane part to me. Those fins created lift, too. Can you link this picture? Sure. This is coming from RGV Aerial. Make sure you go follow his the Twitters. Follow his the Twitterers. Yeah, I linked it up in chat. Yeah, RGV does good work. Very good work. What the hell? Look at all the parked cars on the side of the road. Where? Where? Ah! Ah! So many trucks! Look at all the trucks! They had something like 8 LOX deliveries a day. 82 total LOX deliveries. Yep. Dude, they're tanking. They're getting ready to go, Phil. Getting ready to fly it. Oh, see, they got the handrails installed. OSHA compliant. Keep it in your pants, truck guy. No, you. Got him. That's a truckload of trucks. Or is it 3 truckloads of trucks? Oh, see, in this picture, there's all the parts staged for the crane. There's the SpaceX crane. Is the concrete for that landing pad even there anymore? Like, you can barely even see the outline of the pad. Man, this very, very quickly went from this to that. Like, I remember when we were watching them pour the foundation for this thing. That was not very long ago. What rocket is this? I mean, it says it in the picture, but... That's a Thor Delta tech. How in the frick did this happen? Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a crisis over here. How does this even happen? Man? Imagine next year's picture. Yeah, Sun Temple. Next year's picture is going to have another one of these right there. SpaceX in their assessment is like should have another one right there, and then another one of these fuel depots. There should be another one over here, like mirror this pad. If you put a mirror right here, so launch mount tower fuel farm behind it, which is just this is just absurd. It's ridiculous. You should do something like this for mission mode. Uh-huh. Why? Buckle this. Ludicrous speed. Go! How much more of that land does SpaceX own? Good deal of it. Oh, what's going on over here? Never noticed that. No, I mean last year compared to this year. Oh, yeah. Well, it would be the Freedom rocket. We would be getting Freedom 7 and Freedom 10, if I'm remembering right. That's nuts. How is that going to even work? Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not hating by any means. If they can nail that, it'll blow my freaking mind. Sup, dude? Hang on. Where are the pictures from the... Hey, okay. I think there's pictures of the new... There's Relativity's booster. Yoy me noy. Yeah, Richard, I think it is. I think it's Nick, but I just found Chris's. I don't know, Cameron. We don't know. Yoy me noy. Is that Doodle Bob? Neil thing. I SpongeBob. You doodle. Is that real? No, it's real. You know how I know it's real? Who are you calling Pinhead? Which one of y'all is the real Dirty Dan? I am? Can I get a link to it? Sure. Who are you calling Pinhead? I hope that tradition never ends. Hey, SpongeBob. You do the... Oi, me noy. What did you say? Me nobble hobble, beeba bobble bobble. What? And bobble hobble, beeba bobble bobble. They have to be doing that for Mary. No, they're doing it because they know it'll get posted on the internet. That's why it's funny. What do you call it, Pinhead? Ahoy, me noy. That's a great episode. Are you going to stream from the floor below? Yes. Yes. You've seen this before? Yes, 11 times as a matter of fact. Anchovies. Anchovies! Do you think that SLS will get deleted anymore? If it does, it's not going to be very much more, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what's next on the plate for New Shepard, Sun Temple. Where's the leak, ma'am? Finland! Yo, one last thing for Space News. Look what Joe Barnard posted. Joey Bizzle. We delivered the tool steel rods and 4 other items on your 1019 order. McMaster Car. You freaking rock. Sick. Thanks, homie. Blessings. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yes. I hope you have a good day. You too. Love it. That's awesome. Oh, don't worry about it, VC Tech. It's fine. You too. They're talking to me. Yep, Alex. Joe's he's from the same state as I am. I'm proud to call him a fellow Massachusettsian. That road's just a dead end for now? Alright, geese. Yeah, interesting. I wonder what they're doing with it. Also, McMaster Car. You ever walk into a home improvement store and you walk down the aisles and you're like, oh man, that would be really handy having one of those. I don't really need it, but that would be really handy to have. You ever do that? McMaster Car is that in internet form. There is everything. No, I just buy it. Did it today. It cost me $300. Dude, MasterCard is full of stuff that you didn't realize you wanted until you go and look and you're like, oh, that's really cool. I could use this. Like, I don't know why I need Heim joints, but let's do it. Look at. Oh, God, look at all this. Yes. You need, guys, you want bushings? You got bushings. You want bearings? Yep. Oh, yeah. They also have 3D models for everything they have. Oh, stop it, DK. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. My truck and garden tractor are held together by McMaster Car. I love this website, Bill. It's so friggin' good. Close that website. It's bad for you. No. No, it's not. Shut up. Pressure gauges. Look. I don't know what I need one of these for. Look at that one has different colors on it. It's beautiful. I can close it whenever I want. There's so much stuff in here. I gotta stop. I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, don't link me, Granger, you piece of... I know, Granger. Oh, on Granger, fleet and vehicle maintenance. Gee, I wonder what's in there. You did this. Nervous, that's awesome. Hey, vehicle accessories, what's in here? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no. I gotta get off the site like now. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that. That's a bad idea. No, Kaiser, I didn't see anything. Shut up. No. Nope. Hey, just got off work. Did I miss KSP? King, I was on McMaster Car. And I'm trying to not be on McMaster Car anymore. I hear that Coastal's having a sale on WeatherTech 2. Stop that! Why would you do this? You're like dangling drugs in front of an addict. That's terrible. Why would you do this to someone? Stop it! You have Harbor Freight there? Yeah, I go to Harbor Freight when I need something quick that's going to break after 5 minutes. Let's go. Let's switch to KSP. God damn it. Are you hyped for KSP 2? Hell yeah, man. Of course. Did you see the new documentary that they have? It's really good, man. Really good. See, still bald. That's good. Because it's fun. No, it's not. Donk. Put the wallet donk down. Donk. All the cool kids are ordering car parts though. You don't want to be left behind, do you? What are you most excited for KSP2? Optimizations, dude. I want to run a 2,000 part count ship and be cool with it. OEJ, do not go to the black hole. Says the guy with a Tesla. Oh, GrabShark, you have a Tesla? Yeah, you would have a Tesla. Do you tell people how much you like your Tesla all the time? You do. You do. I can picture you saying it too. Guys, I have a Tesla. I'm telling you, I love that car. It's just a really nice car. You don't? All right, good. You don't Tesla Jack conversations? I tell people about how much I like my pickup trucks, but that's kind of... They're awesome, so it's fine. No, GrabShark, I tend to never do that. I tend to talk about my truck if someone brings it up in chat, but I don't generally do that unsolicited. Yeah, nice, Gagan. Yeah, no, it's not tolerances. You're gonna upgrade your PC for KSP2. I don't know, maybe. You know it's possible to own a Tesla, bolt a Tesla and shut up about it? Who here owns a Tesla? It's complicated. That's the best answer. It's complicated. I don't have an Inferno box. I mean, I have an Inferno box impending under the hood of my cars. There's an Inferno box in there. I actually just tweeted Elon saying that you want an accessible one. How would they do that, Sawyer? Like, Tesla doesn't have a minivan. I'm actually asking, like, what do you think would make a Tesla more accessible? Like, maybe take out the back seat so you can wheel in, right? Like